BYRNE. They kill all the pests you see. It's Burn Pest Control.
Yep, that's BYRNE pest.com. We've been using Burn Pest Control. They're a great company. I had some termite issues.
They came today.
Yeah.
I don't think they came right before you got here, and man, he zhuzhed it up right. There are no buggies in here.
When Florida, we got cockroaches, ants, all the insects.
Well, it's getting hot, and you're going to start seeing more and more of that stuff inside your house. So right now would be the best time to set up your quarterly pest control with Burn Pest Control. That's BYRNE.
Burnpest.com. Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
So we saw this particular comedian that we're going to talk to promote his album in a pretty funny way.
Oh, it was a hilariously funny way.
And we were laughing, and then we asked Samantha, like, see if you can get in touch with him and see if we could talk to him about how he's promoting his album, because we thought it was hilarious.
And he's got a brand new album coming out, and he's on the line with us right now, live via the old Skype. It is Dante Powell. What's going on, man?
Not much, guys. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time. I know this isn't ideal. Normally, we like to have comedians on our couch. But, hey, where are you at right now? Are you in Iowa?
I'm in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm doing this interview, and then I'm getting in my car and driving to Louisiana to visit my family.
Oh, right on.
So Dante, first tell us about your album. I know that it got released last Friday. Let our listeners know where people can get it and where you did it at and some information behind it.
Okay, so it releases tomorrow, actually. It's not out yet, but you can pre-order it. So
there you go.
I forgot to mention this will come out Memorial Day Monday. I apologize. That's why I said...
we should have prefaced with that.
Yeah. So
we're kind of stupid, though.
When our listeners hear this, except for everybody on Twitch right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came out Friday, which if you're listening to this on the radio or podcast...
It's available now.
It's available now. Yeah. There you go.
My apologies. That was to the Twitch people.
Yeah.
So, it's called The Squirrels Get Fat. I did it on Stand Up Records. I recorded it at a place called The Mill in Iowa City, Iowa, and it's basically it's my personal love letter to the state of Iowa, pretty much. And I moved here 7 years ago from Louisiana, and I started stand up here. I really love this place, so I thought it would be a fun thing to do. And once the label came to me and said they wanted to do the album, we got right to it, got everything taken care of, and now we're finally at the point where it's going to be out for people to consume. So I'm really excited.
What makes someone want to go to Iowa?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here, but I'll try to clean this up as best I can.
Okay.
All right.
I moved here for a woman. It was the first woman that let me make love to her without protection, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'd move to Iowa, too, for no raw dog, man. I would move to Iowa right now to get rid of condoms.
That's what Butler's got to do, apparently.
Listen. I'm just being as forthcoming as I can.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got a sales guy, Dante, that he hasn't had skin-on-skin Hawaiian justice ever.
He's married, too.
Yeah, he's married.
Really?
Oh, believe me, we make fun of him. I don't know. He's... I think it's a...
He'll have to leave early on Fridays to go buy rubbers. I'm like, what are you doing?
Are you a sailor? Who are you?
That's the condoms are disgusting.
Oh, we killed Dante.
Oh, no. They couldn't believe the condoms.
Are you there? Oh, there.
I'm going back to... Yeah, if I got here, she was like, hey, you got to use protection now. I just drive off the closest bridge.
Yeah, I agree with it. I agree with that 100%.
So, Dante, I got to ask you about the reason why we're talking to you today is because we ran across some promotion you did for your album. And
I thought it was hilarious. Man.
And you used Cameo to get Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah.
The lady that, made famous by...
My wife's laughing now because she knows exactly who that is. Yes, Andrea,
He's the former leader of the NAACP.
He used the fake black lady to promote his album. That's awesome.
Black Queen.
So, which I'm surprised that she's on Cameo.
Me too.
I guess you think she'd get a lot of jokes and hate, and
Right.
but maybe she's just used to it now. I mean, Dave Chappelle talked about her in one of his stand-up specials. I mean, if she's not already famous enough, everybody knows who she is. So maybe she's just riding that lightning of being famous. But did she have any rules about what you could or couldn't say?
Good question.
Or was she totally fine with just hey, I'll promote this guy's comedy album? And how much did it cost?
Okay, we'll start with the cost. It was $35.
Wow, that's reasonable.
That's $35 I've spent in the world.
Yeah.
And funny enough, when I was getting ready to do it, I was in a Zoom meeting with a bunch of other comics, just talking about whatever. And one of the other comics was like, "Oh, if you do that, I'm gonna also do a cameo right now, and I'm gonna basically tell her that we've been dating for 2 years, and I'm gonna ask her to propose to you for me." So I've got another video of her being like, "Hey, Dante Powell, your friend Mo wants to know if you'll marry him." And we apparently she just picks the ones that she's willing to do, and she does them. And so I sent that out there with I kind of assume she probably won't do this because I don't know who's willing to jump on and say, hey, go buy whatever on Cameo, but she was fine. So she has all my respect right now. That Black Queen is mwah to me.
Because you don't Cameo when it first came out. Daniel.
This is embarrassing. We were firing a guy that worked for us, and I used it to get Chum Lee from Pawn Stars to tell the guy that we fired that we were happy we fired him, and he was the worst employee we ever had. And Chum Lee did it, and I don't think they we got in early, and I don't think they like the negativity as much anymore. Obviously, you weren't doing something negative. I was, but I think I snuck in there. Plus, Chum Lee from Pawn Stars doesn't strike me as being a very, very smart chap. You know.
Also, I'm wondering if a lot of for sure, a lot of these, some of them are D-list celebrities, wouldn't be willing to promote a product or something because they'd be like, well, it's more than $35 for me to.
But let's be real. But maybe she knew you're a black comedian, right?
Oh yeah.
So maybe she.
All my info is there. The picture I have as my avatar is a picture of me on stage. I put it in the comments before I put the copy I wanted her to read. So she knew what she was getting into. And I do because I had used some other ones too, and I've been turned down by 4 or 5 people. And some of them have been hey, I just don't promote things. Some of them were absolutely. I tried to get a furry that was a dog to be hey, Michael Vick for the NFL Hall of Fame and buy Dante Powell's album.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. So
Yeah.
There's a line.
Yeah, there are lines here. I love what you're doing because we've done an element of this even with the imaging. Remember when so I love radio and I love rock music, punk rock music, but I love hip hop too. So I found a guy on Fiverr who used to be an imaging guy for a really big hip hop station, and I wanted him to do really aggressive rap jingle drop-ins for our show of 2 fat white dads who just I thought it'd be super funny, and he did it. But then at the very end, and they're phenomenal, he put Birdman in there saying put some respect on my name. He did it. It's amazing. But at the very end, I contacted him again to get it done, and he's like, nah man, I'm not. No. He's like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm out.
They'll do it once,
man.
and
they're so good.
They'll
too.
feel bad about it.
I mean, I love a good hip hop drop in. I love that style of radio. It's so fun. But yeah, that ship sailed. He's not doing it no more.
So Dante. Besides from, and we've got a lot of comedian friends, and some of them have turned to Zoom and
virtual shows are huge.
Other virtual shows. Some people don't like it. Some people are trying to figure out. I saw that they're going to do. Was that fake news? I don't know. Like the first ever drive-in concert.
No, that's real.
In Orlando. I don't.
They're going to try.
You never know what's real or not nowadays. But I guess they're going to try where a bunch of cars park in a parking lot. They have a stage and whatever, and there's like you watch a concert from your car. I wonder if anything can work like that in the comedy world. It just doesn't seem like it can because
it's
there's
so
such
intimate, man.
Such a specific environment you need for stand-up.
Energy.
Yeah.
It's an energy, you know.
Could you do stand-up with everybody sitting in their car?
Yeah, I actually spoke to a friend. I did his podcast a couple of days ago, and he was telling me he did one of those shows, the drive-up shows, and what they encourage people to do is flick the lights when they're laughing, which
Is that where we're at now? That's where we're at now?
Listen, to me, I think it's funnier if you get people to honk the horn.
Right.
Like, I know it's loud and you can't hear yourself.
At least it's audible.
I think it's...
Yeah, but it's energy. I like the horn better, too. Like, plus, the flicking the lights thing. I mean, I don't know where you grew up, but that's how you bought weed in my city. You'd pull into the neighborhood, you'd flick your lights, a guy would come over, and that's how you bought your weed.
What about you hit your alarm like a bunch of times where it's like, ding, 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 everybody.
Oh, God. I don't even have an alarm on
What
my
are you, a
truck.
nerd?
If I'm there, I'm just going to be like, screw this. I'm going to get out and sit on my hood.
It'll turn into a block party.
I honestly agree with you. If I were watching Dante in my car and I was laughing, I'd get out and walk up to the stage because I'm not going to sit there and flick my lights.
Yeah, I'll stand away from you, but I'm going to sit there and watch you in person.
I'm not coughing. I'll take my temperature, but I'm walking to the stage to see the real stand-up from the real Dante. I'm getting the real experience.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. I heard that.
Good luck on your trip down to Louisiana.
Yeah, give your family. I hope they're all safe, man, and that's obviously what's important right now. But congrats on the album, dude. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, and where can people find it again? It's called The Squirrels Get Fat.
It's on every platform you use to buy albums. So Amazon, Google Play, iTunes. You can find it. It's not available on like just the streaming sites like Apple Music or Spotify just yet. But once we actually sell some, it'll end up on the streaming sites eventually. But yeah, for now, just buy it. You can also buy the video version of it on Vimeo on demand. So,
nice.
Oh, cool.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh man, well,
no
you've been
problem.
working your ass off, and we're always excited to try and help you out. And you heard that, guys. It won't be streaming, so put some bucks in his pocket by buying the actual album because comedy is a rarity these days. We got to support it, or it'll die. We got to support it.
And Dante, when things get up and rolling again and everything gets back to normal, if you ever make it through Orlando,
come see us. Man.
Come see us and sit down in studio with us.
I will, man. Akeem Woods and Carmen Morales, they're some of my best friends, and they always tell me about how great you guys are. So
We just talked to Akeem last week, and I talked to Carmen last night via text. I know Tom's talking to her later today because we might have some business with them. But, man, we're excited. When you roll through, we'll be excited to see you, okay?
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
All right,
no
man.
problem,
Be
dude.
good.
See ya.
That is it's really cool that we're able to do that kind of stuff and get to talk to...
he seemed really sweet.
Oh, what a nice guy. I think some of the ladies in the chat room...
That was Floating Jesse.
Floating Jesse was flirting with him and trying to...
My God, woman.
Yeah, you're
almost married.
Yeah, you're like almost married. Yeah, what are you doing?
Oh,
She's like, ooh la la, who is this? So you better settle down there.
I saw Floating Jesse made a post about her old man needed some help.
I thought you were going to help him.
I was contemplating it, but I was like, only if I could ride the mower and then I could listen to podcasts all day.
But how awesome does that sound?
That's
awesome.
the job I want.
Here's what I want. Okay, and it's got to be this.
This is
what I want. I want a cooler backpack. I got to have one large grape Gatorade Fierce. Gotta be fierce. Then I gotta have 2 lime White Claws in there and a left-handed cigarette in the pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Put that on the side of my mower. podcast headphones in. Mo, sip my Gatorade. Lunchtime, toot, toot, toot.
Yeah.
Mo, when I'm on that last line of mowing, double White Claw shooters. Oh, my God. Best day in the world.
Yeah. See, I start early in the morning, and I take as much sativa, True Leaf capsules as I can stomach. Then I go to 7-Eleven, pick up a mega gulp of Diet Mountain Dew, and then some taquitos, maybe a hot dog. That fat will insanely.
When's the last time you had a taquito?
I've never had one.
I gotta admit something. This is like confession. I ate one at the beginning of COVID, like when things were shutting down, because I went up to see my 7-Eleven. I knew we were going to be back there.
That was the end of the world.
It was the end of the world.
The last taquito in the world.
And I had one. It was a buffalo chicken taquito. I got to tell you, it's blanket amazing. They're good as hell.
Taquitos are good if they're fresh.
Yeah, they're piping hot.
Yeah. It's
But if
just
they've been sitting there for a while.
You eat them cold.
No. But they'll sit under that lamp for a while and gross.
What is a taquito? It's just it's a rolled quesadilla with fat all in it, right?
Yeah. It's just some like pepperonis in there. Who knows?
People are saying, actually Norm is saying 7-Eleven taquitos are good. He says, but when they're hard, not good.
Right. They've been sitting there too long.
I've never had a hard taquito.
Yeah.
You got a good 7-Eleven then.
You can only eat them fresh. If they're been sitting there for days, it's not so good.
Hard,
it's like eating a stick, like a literal stick.
Butler has to put a condom on his taquito.
But anyway, then I put my my earbuds in, and I just mow along. The problem
you got
is
your big dad hat on to protect you from the sun.
Yeah. I mow around, and there's. I imagine that I'm mowing the outside of a rich person's mansion, and inside their pool cage, like the MILF is there sunbathing, and I take a peek
look over at her, and then she's oiling up those big bowling balls.
And I'm listening to gambling advice, but I forget it all because I'm so high. I have short-term memory loss. I can't remember.
You're also horny.
Yeah. And then I drive it back up on the trailer, and then Floating Jess, old man, he takes me to the next place. But in my fantasy,
he makes you ride in the back.
I ride.
He picks you up from home.
Yeah, I want to ride in the back. I get fresh air.
Yeah, he's like, this guy doesn't speak English, and you're like, I just can't read. That's all. I can speak.
Won't shut up.
Me and Pedro, that's the one thing we have in common.
Those guys can speak and read better.
He can read Spanish really good. Not English though, just like me.
I mean, in his country, he's a doctor, for Christ's sake. That makes me mad because I've met those people before.
Yeah.
It's like you meet the guy and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's working at a 7-Eleven. He's like, in my country, I am a surgeon. I'm like, oh my God.
I had him give me a prostate exam. I'll blow the blades off your fingers before. There it is.
They don't do two. What doctor are you going to? It's not two.
I got a very...
What doctor do you go to? It's not two. I'm serious. It'd be like if Samantha came and said, went to the gynecologist. It's weird. Doesn't have arms. He uses his penis. I'm like, that doesn't work like that. That's not a real thing, dude.
You can feel the smoothness.
It's not two.
The smoothness.
It's not Dane Cook. It's like, what are you doing?
A big prostate.
You got a big Donald Trump Nicholas. Donald Trump has a big ass. Come on.
It's a big dumper.
It's a big dumper.
Yeah. It's got
dumps like a truck.
Heat bumps. It's for sure rough looking.
Put black pants on, not white pants. Oh my God.
He's got to have the most pale ass ever.
But in those white pants, he looks like Beverly Hills Ninja goes to the formal.
Floating Jesse's saying that sometimes Justin comes across some people nude.
No,
like suntanning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like the lady out back?
Yeah.
Every day I go back there hoping I'll see her again.
That's the only time.
You knock it down to turtle. Take your time. I know.
Knock it down to turtle.
Don't turn it all the way off.
And you raise the blade.
Yeah.
Remember when you'd lower the blade? You go, and you'd go,
It's a death machine.
Yeah, it is a death. And he would shake the whole thing. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, my dad's letting me do this?
Yeah.
I'm sitting on an upside down murder copter.
And those blades are rusty crazy.
It makes me nervous when little kids are mowing. Because I'm afraid.
Well, that one BDM lost his leg,
Arm,
right?
his
Or
grandpa.
arm.
I also watched a. What was
What
it
do you
just
do?
called? Was the show just called Rescue 911 back in the day?
Yeah.
If
And I
I'm
saw
a-
an episode where a kid
Oh, it
got
happens-
caught underneath it and
Look up
chopped
how
his legs
often it
off.
happens.
In the
Look up-
70s and 80s, it happened all the time. It was like kids falling in wells.
Yeah, look
Like,
up
it doesn't-
lawnmower. How many lawnmower accidents there are?
It took like hundreds of kids to lose their legs and arms and fall in wells, and then the society's like, oh yeah, we should probably put something to cover that and make some lawnmowers safer.
Here's a stat.
People are-
800 children in the U.S. alone are run over by riding mowers or small
Every day.
tractors.
Every day.
Yeah.
Not every day.
Every
Yeah,
day.
every single day.
But
I'll tell you right now, there's a one,
is it a false sense of security because it seems like so easy to
Yeah.
ride and then they fall off, you run them
well,
over?
the Surrey
So-
bike I almost fell out of today. You know, I mean, you guys got to run me over. 1 out of every 5 people's grandfather cut their arms off. That's science. That's real facts. 1 out of every 5 Americans' grandfather ran them over and chopped their arms off.
Yeah. Remember?
What do you do if I don't have any grandparents. Well, Maisie does.
Yeah.
So if Maisie's on a lawnmower and falls off and it chops her arm off, the first thing I do is I call 911. The
Yeah.
second thing I do is I have to beat up her grandfather, right?
There's some sort of repercussion. Like that's a pretty serious.
How do you go inside later that day and have a Bud Light together knowing that grandpa drove? It's like the guy that dropped the kid off the cruise ship. Remember that
Yeah.
horrible story?
Yeah.
These horrible stories. That person has to just you're excommunicated from the family for good, right? I still love you, but you can never be around me ever again, right?
They never do what they should, and the Japanese are good at this. It's
fall on your sword.
fall on your sword. It's you disgrace the family. You deserve a punishment.
I think my wife is packing her things. She's like,
I was saying, and
you're a horrible person.
and those guys will do it just for losing a couple of their
Oh my
retirement
God.
funds.
What do you lost 25% of your stocks? Don't jump out the window. What are you doing? You got a lot of. You could come back.
Yeah, so you're still rich.
You're only 35 years old. My God, you got another 25 years of earnings.
And he should know it goes ebbs and flows. I think
It's a wave.
it's back higher than it was during the recession. Back then, no, not now, but it
Give
was.
me the sword. Give me, chop me.
Just give it a couple years, bro.
Plus, think of the fortitude you got to have to hold that and just
I
be
know.
calmly, just there it is. It's in me, and I'm dying.
Well, that's why you fall on it. You can't do it slowly.
You got to run.
Yeah. You're gonna be like, no.
No, you got to do it slow. That's how you prove to everybody you're a man.
Yeah.
It's like the monk that doused himself with gasoline.
I think I could get through the fat outer layer, but once I hit the sensitive organs,
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh!
Like, hold it, take it out.
Give me a Band-Aid.
Hold on, we'll start over.
Give me some Neosporin.
All right, put it in the same. Oh, you're not putting it in the same hole. You're putting it in a different hole. It's a new hole. Put it in the same one.
I want to do it through my heart, but there's this heart thing, like a shield underneath my skin.
I don't understand anatomy, so just keep chopping until I stop moving.
Here, chop my toes off. No! All right.
Got to take a break?
Yeah. Well, we're the next segment's going to be best of because it's because normal people.
Oh, I thought what we were doing right there was
because normal people take
Vacations.
They have vacations, but we don't because we're crazy. So anyway, enjoy Memorial Day if you have the day off. And if you're working, I feel bad for you. So,
I feel bad for you, son.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. Got 99 problems. COVID ain't one.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I am Dan.
I'm Tom.
We are, we're dealing with things, and you're dealing with things, but there's positivity of brewing, and not everything is shut down. You can do curbside pickup at a lot of really cool places. And one place you may not think that you can do that, but it's pretty darn awesome. And in fact, my wife was saying that some of the ladies in the Side Chicks group have been doing this already.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like we're almost a little behind the times. But on the line with us right now is our good friend Deborah from Fairvilla Mega Store. And she's going to tell us a little bit about what you can do with Fairvilla Curbside.
Yep. How you doing, Deborah?
Hey, I'm doing really well. How is everyone there?
Good.
So, Deborah, explain to us what the, proper technique or the steps you should go through when you're doing curbside.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about cunnilingus.
My God.
That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, that's something else. You're going to have to go to our Fairvilla University to learn more about that. But It was just one of those things where we decided that even though now our stores are all open, we've got even expanded hours, but we felt like there are still some people who are a little bit concerned and still want to limit their, exposure to people that they haven't been around, or, that one-on-one, that really close proximity. So we decided to do our Fairvilla curbside at select locations, and International Drive right here in Central Florida is offering it. And you just call ahead during the normal business hours. They're posted online, so you can go online and double check when that, what the day is to the hours they're open. Call ahead, and you'll get a verbal consult over the phone. They'll walk you through, ask you some questions to kind of help guide you, and then they're going to walk through the store and make some suggestions that are custom just to you. It's easy. It just takes a few minutes, and then you get to pay over the phone, and you just drive up to the curb, touch-free pickup, and off you go. It's the best.
That is the best.
That is. And so you almost get like a personalized expert shopper, because one of the employees at Fairvilla is going to be walking you through everything. They know everything about all the products.
Every square inch of the store, for sure.
Yeah. And so they'll suggest to you. It's actually better than like me going in there and not knowing what is going to be the best.
Easy. What? I never thought about that, but it might be easier for some people to just make the phone call.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful thing to think that if that might be your first time going to Fairvilla, they ease you into, like you always say, like an old man into a hot bath.
Yeah. Because maybe in person, like some people, like myself, get a little embarrassed about certain subjects.
Sure.
And so you're talking about...
well, our listeners don't, because Rich in our Twitch chat room
they're
said...
animals.
He said that he was on the Fairvilla Zoom meeting that they had on Friday, and he won a free dildo from Fairvilla Megastore.
Really?
So if you're like Tom, you're not going to win all these amazing prizes. Apparently, that it's raining dildos, guys. If you could jump on Zoom and win some expensive, cool stuff.
Yeah, we hope to do some more of those, too, because I think that what has happened is this is just like a new reality. Zoom events are here to stay.
Yeah.
And in Zoom education, we're putting together new education components that you'll be able to pay for online as well. So that'll be launching in the very near future. So this is truly exciting for us to kind of have a different way to reach out to folks. And like you said, some people are a little shy. This is a great way, especially with this curbside consult, to be really, I think, a little more forthright with what you're looking for and work with that, because we do a lot of education with our team. Anyone you talk to has spent hours and hours of education time to become a consult for Fairvilla stores. It's a really great opportunity.
I just want to say, every time that I talk to Deb and about Fairvilla, I just feel like they're so smart. They, like she said, they've gone through all of this training. They're so knowledgeable about this stuff. You can call on the phone and tell your needs, and somebody's going to pick out something amazing for you.
Because they break the stereotype that I think people over years, like in every movie, you've always seen the seedy store.
Creepy dude.
That's not what we're dealing with. That's what Hollywood has made you think it's supposed to be, and it's not.
They're going through Fairvilla University.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I subscribe to your YouTube channel, by the way, as well. If you go to YouTube and just search Fairvilla University, it pops right up. Just slam that subscribe button, get them some subscribers, because they're putting out a lot of content. And like Deborah said, this is where we're at. This is the new thing. So
we're really proud of the YouTube channel. We're glad that that's finally launched, and we're going to have some fun with that.
Awesome. Well, Deborah, we're going to do something we normally don't do, but we're going to do some 90s radio, because we have Travis, our sales guy, which he is actually in the parking lot of the iDrive location of Fairvilla, and
he's been there for 3 days. Really creepy.
And we're actually going to go through this on our show.
We're going to do it.
Now, here's the thing. We're going to do it a little differently. We're going to talk to Butler first, get an idea of what he's looking for.
And then we're going to go in the complete opposite direction.
You know where this is going. Then we're going to talk to...
This is a let him meat cake scenario.
A specialist at Fair Villa at the iDrive location. She's going to do our personalized shopping and then deliver the products to Butler in the parking lot.
Yeah. He'll be horrified, bingo, bongo, bingo, and then tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree.
I would not have this any other way. This is going to be very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're excited about it. And if it's anything like Butler preparing for this bit by not sending us any cell phone numbers to anybody, and then he just drove away, and then we're all sitting here like, what number should we call?
He did send them to me. I just didn't know he did. I didn't look at my phone.
All right, Deborah, we'll talk to you soon, and we're looking forward to the next time you guys can come back in here, and I know it'll be sooner than later, so we'll see you soon, okay, Deborah?
All right, thanks so much. Y'all stay well.
All right, you too. Take care. That is our good friend Deborah from Fairville Megastore.
We got Butler on line 2. Okay. Check in with him.
Hello, you all right?
I'm all right.
You're all right.
So, Travis, did you hit any cars in the parking lot of Fairville yet?
Don't talk about it.
Because every client meeting we go to,
he almost hit somebody on the bike.
He almost hit a child on the bike.
Either you ram into customers' cars, or
listen, that kid was swerving towards me. That is not fair.
You were looking backwards.
Yeah.
Or you awkwardly point out that the owner of said company has curbed all the rims of their expensive Tesla while we're walking with them, and we're trying to seal the deal.
That was Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve, we're trying to seal the deal, and Butler's like, wow, who completely trashed their Tesla? And the guy's like, that would be me.
We're like, good job, Butler. That'll help. All right. Let's get to it.
Let's get down to
what do you need? Because you told me. Now I hope I'm not getting you into trouble.
A bunch of condoms.
You told me that you bought your wife a dildo that she hates.
You're not supposed about
that. It was a swing and a miss. Yeah.
God damn it, Butler.
I love Butler. He's my favorite.
Why would you even attempt to buy that without your wife being with
you? That's not something you don't just bring it home. It's not like
that tells me that you don't know what your wife likes.
I got you a Mercedes.
Well, to his defense, I wouldn't know either, but that's why
ask. You gotta ask.
I wouldn't even attempt to do it. I'm like, what do you want? The one with the chomper at the end?
Chomper?
I don't know.
This one had almost like a beating heart pulse at the base of it, and it was really cool. I was like, this thing looks like God. If I was a girl, I'd want that, I guess. And, nope.
Oh my God, this one's really cool. He's going for a gadget.
The old beating heart pulse at the bar.
Never heard of that one.
I don't know why. Why do I have that? Anyway, so let's. Now we got around, I believe, $100 budget.
About $100.
So let's talk about you first, Butler. Is there anything because Fairvilla has stuff for the single man as well?
What do you need? You can get an auto blow, a Tenga egg. You can get some maybe. Listen,
I don't need any duplicates here. I've already crossed those off my list. So where do we go from here?
What do you what don't you have?
You already have multiple Tenga eggs and an auto blow?
My God.
What the hell are you doing?
You got a baker's dozen of Tenga eggs?
He's got all the good stuff for him and bought his wife something she didn't want.
You gotta catch them all. You know?
I will make the show liable for all big corporations using their So, so if you had your pick, you've been in Fairvilla before. Like, where should we?
Something for you or something for my lady?
Because here's the thing, Butler. When we get off the phone with you, we're going to call the Fairvilla specialist and walk her through what you need. So we need to get an idea of like what you're leaning towards.
Be serious.
What you need help with.
I would say probably lingerie for the missus would be nice. Whatever, tease out, whatever, I don't care.
He's going to buy her something else that she hates.
Whatever, tease out.
I'm looking on...
because that's what every woman says when they want... Even when they're dipping their toe into lingerie, they look at their hubby, and I know that you've done this, Andrea. You go, look, just get me something tease out. Right?
I'm looking at the gifts for men on the Fairvilla website. Would you like a prostate toy, Butler?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
That's what Tommy Two Fingers needs over here.
They have the Oh Boy.
Does that have a little pulsating beating heart thing on it?
There are some that do pulsate, yeah.
I feel like for Butler, because he's a part Neanderthal, which he found out in his...
like a foam
I get caught up in the butt hair, yeah.
with this,
You have a lot of butt hair.
Yeah. You need a weed eater on the front of your bubble.
It's like that vehicle that they wanted to use in what was it? Total Recall.
Yeah. Do they use
to dig through the rock?
Do they have a nose hair trimmer with a big bulbous in it?
We need a jumbo nose hair trimmer.
So all right, we got something there covered.
You need a butt hair trimmer.
Yeah.
What about any oil?
A nice dose of some lube or some massage oil would be quite nice.
All right, I'm running down nice dose of lube.
Wow, we're gonna say exactly what you said. So lingerie,
nice full dose, or is it partial?
Did you want like flavored?
Nice is 3/4 banana flavored is what I hear.
Yeah, dollop of some sex whipped cream or something. I don't know.
Sex whipped cream.
Okay,
Why can't he be like serious? He's like a little giddy boy.
This is who he is. This is him all the time.
Yeah. He couldn't take nothing serious.
He's a child.
I feel like I feel like Butler is if I was asking Tommy what he wanted from Fairvilla.
Wow, dude, don't steal my next contest.
Put a flag on it, Tommy.
Because Tommy would say, boobies out.
Yeah, he was
But
hey, they have something here called BJ Blast, and it's cherry flavored. You want that?
BJ Blast is Butler's DJ name. It's BJ Blast in the morning.
What about nipple nibblers?
No.
It's a tingle balm.
Yeah.
Tingle bomb,
You tingle
bomb, tingle bomb, tingle bomb, rock.
I saw Butler with his shirt off one time at Disappearing Island when he took his kayak
A lot
off.
of swastika tattoos.
I think it was a try to impress his new boss. So he kayaked to Disappearing Island.
Wait, what happened?
And we're all sitting there, we're having drinks.
Then he took his shirt off.
Off in the distance, we see this guy walking, and he's like, "Hey guys, I kayaked 43 miles."
Oh my God!
He stood there winded with his shirt off and some hot White Claw that he stowed away in his foothold. And then he drank some hot White Claw. He stood around with his shirt off in front of our wives.
Was he showing off his nipples?
Yeah.
He's trying to hit on him a little bit.
He has some dark British nips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've seen some sun.
But,
Yeah, they're dark.
Yeah,
Got
which
a-
is
I got
my
a-
new shoe company.
Hair all over them.
Yeah, they're a spicy curry for sure.
Yeah, some British nips.
Spicy curry sauce.
Jump higher. So, what about some books, Butler? I know.
No, wait, he's not going to read any books.
Well,
Come
like
on.
some Kama Sutra books.
But what about
I
that?
think it's some movies.
What about that funny book that you hang your dong through, and every page he's like a cowboy or
Oh, yeah. It's like.
penis puppet or something?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sold on that. Yeah, I'll take one of those. Please.
What kind of categories?
You into bondage?
We
What do you got?
never really dove into this before.
Not into the tying up because
Any videos like what subjects?
What about like a blindfold or a riding crop?
Like Daniel likes massage. I'm more of an amateur connoisseur myself.
I also like Caught the Babysitter.
Yeah.
Most popular this week in the movie section, we have MILF Dreams.
Oh, you're into the MILFs, Butler?
Funny enough, I found this weird category. It was like fishing trips on YouPorn. It was a good one.
Hold on, what?
I know what that means.
Hold on, I've never heard of anybody.
That's an internal camera scenario. Fishing trips.
Like the plumber?
Yeah, ice fishing.
No, that's
Checking for doo-doo roots.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, that's too far.
You like that? My God.
Nobody likes that. I thought that was only for like shock and awe.
value, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he likes full-on inner space.
Oh my
Oh
God!
no, I'm not trying to go like inner space. No, I'm just like
You're talking about like going to catch a marlin? You boof on that.
couple goof like fishermen find some girl looking at fish on the side of the road, and boom, there it is.
Boom, there it is.
Hold on.
First of all, it's whoop, there it is, not boom, there
I
it is.
found it. I found the category.
Are you serious?
Fishing trips?
This one, he wasn't catching fish, so I made him feel better.
Hold on. So,
there it is.
no, hold on. Me and Daniel have made it
Ultra sexy wife fishing.
I've never seen any of this.
We
I
have-
found like this is a whole new category I'm going to be in.
Snorkeling trips.
Me and Daniel have taken pride in the fact that any pornography video that we start to describe,
We've
each other have seen it.
I've
And
never seen one fishing video.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
found him.
I have literally never heard of it. How is it Butler got it, started deep diving into the category of two old men go on a fishing trip and then find like a, what is it,
Isn't
a
that
teen
the plot
hitchhiker?
for Grumpy Old Men starring Jack Lemmon?
Is it always a hitchhiker or is it the girl at
No,
the bait
some
shop?
of them are the wife fishing with them.
Oh.
That's a huge category.
I feel like he went to the end of YouPorn, and then this was all that was
Yeah,
left.
they ran out.
Look up hunting trip or look up.
There's camping. There are camping.
There's
ones.
trips.
Okay, look up chess match.
I like the-
Okay.
Oh, there's definitely chess match.
Like
yeah.
what porn category
body
category do
fitness.
you like? I like outdoors. Like,
I like wood chopping.
I got chess match.
I like
Wow.
sand and dirt and grime in my.
What do you like? I like porno where the woman makes her own peanut butter. Just like Whole
Oh, you
Foods.
got him. He wants that
all
one.
right, Butler, we're gonna
Yeah,
put you
just
on.
give me embarrassed that you found that one.
We're gonna put you on hold, and then we're
Okay.
gonna call. We got enough information written down.
All
Your
right,
fishing
so I'm
trips
just going to
and,
pot you down, so just hold the line, okay?
All I wrote down
Yep,
is,
got
is
it.
bass and a dollop of lube.
No, and then you want something for the wife with her boobs.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
boobs out.
something,
Boobs out.
Tease out.
Tease out lingerie.
Yeah, tease out lingerie, lube, and bass. All right, so we're gonna call the specialist from Fairville. Have her.
Samantha's going to set that up. We got $100 to use here.
Yeah. I feel like,
Butler's going to stay on hold.
How much lube can you get for $100?
Oh, a lot.
Oh, yeah,
They got
big.
bargain bin lubes because some of them, like the are you a flavorman or a non-flavorman? I'm a non-flavorman.
Yeah, the flavor. I'm just like I'm not. I'm not going
You
on
get
that
the like shivvies on that
Also,
one.
some
yeah,
lubes
I know.
are so hot. They're so well made that it almost gets too wet.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I feel like there's nothing going on here. Am I even moving? I don't know what it's like standing on an escalator.
Yeah, you're slip and slide in space.
It's like I feel like I'm in a vacuum right now. Nothing's happening.
I just looked over, and your shorts are like the same color as your tan legs now, and I was like, well, is he not wearing pants?
Yeah, I don't wear pants on Thursday. On Thursdays, we don't wear pants.
I got Amber on line one.
All right.
Okay, Amber.
Let's see.
Amber, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hey, thanks so much for doing this for us. So we got Butler, our sales guy in the parking lot. He's been there for 3 days. It's really creepy.
They're running
I
late.
wondered who was sitting out in the parking lot. All right.
Yeah, that's him. That's
He's a
him.
British Neanderthal.
Yeah, he should be smoking and ashing in a Qdoba cup.
Oh, okay, so that's what the smoke signals were for.
That's him.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
So Amber, we talked to Travis, and we're going to kind of relay to you what he's looking for, and you can give us an idea of if you have those.
What do you
particular
have
items.
for the gentleman that might have a larger?
Larger.
Can I say
Are we
that?
talking like Grand Canyon or just?
I'm kidding.
It's like a fancy feast can.
I'd say about the size of a family-sized tuna can.
You got,
Okay.
she's a professional.
I mean, we got lots of fun things. So we're thinking like a butt plug prostate toy.
Oh yeah.
See, that's what I was trying to get
Now
Butler to
Okay,
get.
okay.
we're talking.
Extra knobby if you have one.
We want one that looks like Gandalf's walking stick.
I don't know if I've got that, but I got one that moves.
Oh
Go
yeah.
around.
Yeah. I like to move it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anything that moves, the better, right?
Yeah. That's what he likes.
Wiggly
you know,
wham.
and the stronger the better. Like
The stronger, the better.
Yeah,
Got it.
And a powerful battery. Now, he also expressed some interest in, do you have any, like, electrified nip clamps or some sort of... He's into the bondage and the pain.
And he's into a little bit of like the electricity. He likes the zips and the
Like
zaps.
jumper cables? cables? I don't have jumper cables, but I got stuff that vibrates.
Okay, all right. Like, and it's something that is preferably strong. So
Clampy.
It clamps.
Strong and tight. Got it.
Yeah.
And
Everybody likes strong and tight.
He's a fan of the clamps that weave. Like he likes to go earring to nipple to downstairs Prince Albert to rectum, and then through the toes, back
all the
up.
places.
Yeah, he's really into body modification and jewelry.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, do we want vibration or do we want magnets that pinch the heck out of you?
Oh,
magnets. Pinching magnets.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Hey, we want the Miracle ICP magnet.
I like that he gave us a bunch of stuff that he wanted, and you're not doing it.
That's what we told Deborah we were going to do.
Okay.
That's why I took my sleeves off.
Look, I can't lie to Deborah.
Put your sunglasses back on.
I can lie to Butler. I can't lie to Deborah. She's a client.
It's easier to do some sunglasses.
Yeah.
Because I can't look at myself while I do it.
Wait, you can look at yourself without sunglasses?
Don't talk about it. Also, is there any books that can help him in his relationship with his wife as far as the intimacy goes? Like maybe some sort of
we're trying to
position.
We're trying to 86 the condoms too.
Yeah. Because it seems like he's got it's a pretty bland thing going on there. So maybe something that can give him some suggestions of positions.
Maybe like a card deck that every card you pull has a new something to try or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of routes we can go. We can go Tantra, we can go Kama Sutra, or we can do BDSM books.
BDSM.
Yeah.
BDSM?
I feel like he should get into the tying, but his wife tying him up.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. We have all the rope books. So we will grab, there's the Naughty Boy book.
That's it.
Oh, there it is.
He's a very naughty boy.
I get it. It's just like naming your boat. It's a double entendre.
You should name your boat the Naughty Boy.
I should.
That's fantastic. God, that's good.
But a KNOT?
Yeah, I think we got it. I think that's all we need, right?
Yeah. So we got some magnet nip clamps, the Naughty Boy, the biggest one you have,
the biggest one,
B-plug.
A B-plug, yeah.
And
a B-plug.
Yeah. And I think that should take care of it, because I know our budget is, Do you
want to talk to Butler now? We have him on the line.
Yeah. All right. Butler, are you there?
Yeah, so my budget. Got it.
Yes, I am.
I think we got you squared away here. And
don't look in the basket when you get there. Just just get it and go. Touchless.
Don't try anything on, huh? Yeah.
Not supposed to do that.
Amber's been very helpful.
She's been awesome.
I honestly, for me, shopping like this is
better.
You don't want this to go away, because I can see it in your eyes. You're kind of like, this isn't bad at all.
Because you're an awkward guy.
Yeah.
So this makes it easier.
If I could just call Amber and then just be like, hey,
you don't have to look her in the eyes.
Yeah, no, it's easier over the phone.
And she's got a good demeanor. Amber, I gotta pay you a compliment. Your bedside manner and how cheery and sweet you are. I can't find that anybody would have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. I know we were joking about being dorks, but you did a great job.
Yeah.
I can see where you would like this, Tom.
It is. It's almost like kind of the marijuana telemedicine. I'm like, I like this. Some things good.
Well, it gives you a little bit of distance, but you're still getting the knowledge that they have. Working there.
And I feel like when I'm walking to the store, and this is only my problem. I'm too awkward to ask for help and I'll just be like, I'll just take this.
And you're like, I'm fine.
And I won't know. And then if I talk to Amber would be like, all right, she knows the products, every single one. So she'll be like, all right, if you want this is the best one. And that's way better than buying something because you're too awkward to ask for help. Yeah. So
I'll tell you, we have a lot of experience here. I've been doing this for 6 years, and we've done almost 20 hours worth of training. So there is no question I have not been asked. There is no weirdness that has not walked through this door that I am ready to help with.
Let me put that in perspective for folks. 20 hours of training that she's had, done this for 6 years. You can go buy a yacht right now and have zero experience and zero training and drive it right into a building and kill everyone inside. She has literally dedicated herself to learning about these products, but you can buy supercars, you can buy boats, and no training whatsoever. Well, Amber, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
And Butler's right Butler's right outside. So after you get all the items that we mentioned, you could deliver that to his car. He's waiting for him, and then when we'll talk about him when he brings it in, next week.
Later in the week.
And we'll go over everything he got. So we appreciate it, Amber.
I'll be out there with bells on.
Okay,
awesome.
Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Later.
Butler, are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We got some good stuff for you, buddy.
Yeah, man, we hooked it up.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
So it'll be real.
Really? You had to go to the magnets. She tried to walk away from it. You're like, no!
I was like, hold it, get here.
He can hear.
Magnets
He
are
knows
good.
everything.
It also, my dad used to wear one of those copper magnet bracelets. He said it took his arthritis away. Yeah, it's good. It's good. You won't have arthritis in your boobies.
All right, Butler. Good job. Just driving through the city of the parking lot.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad I did you proud, boss.
No problem.
You did a great job.
And next time on Disappearing Island, we'll let you know so you can kayak over to us. And then stand there with your nips out. And we'll look right at them. All right, dude.
All right, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Yep.
All right, man, later. There's Butler live from the iDrive location of...
I like that. Now I see why
Fairville Megastar.
the host used to send me out so much.
Yeah. You like it, don't you?
Oh, it's so good.
You just
messing
sit,
with
be
it.
fat, do nothing. You're the butt plug. Hey, I don't want to use butt plug. Do it.
Where's my Porky's barbecue? Slave.
Let's see. You are doing all of this. You're driving all around town. You're butt plugging crazy. What do? I got a paper in front of me. You could win $1,000.
Yeah, let me read my live rate. $20.
I'm getting rich. What are you doing? Well, you got to go to the hospital now because you ripped some things.
But it's all pay off at the end.
Yeah. Look, it all trickles down.
Look at Tuttle. He's fine now.
He's great.
Perfect.
Living
You're richer than ever.
Lives at a trailer park and eats fish scraps for sustenance. All right. Is that it?
Yeah. Fairville Mega Store.
Yeah.
Huh?
Going to break?
Yeah.
We're going to break. Your lips went. You okay?
I'm transforming.
We'll be right back with more Corporate Talk.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I am Tom.
I am Dan. I feel like it's been, a very long time since our next guest has been on the program. And
to me, it seems like it was like last week.
Really?
Time's flying back because I remember talking to Ray through Skype not that long ago.
It goes back and forth for me. Some days I feel like it's rocketing. Today I feel like it's been really slow, and I'm really. You guys are all getting on my nerves.
It's almost the end of Tuesday.
Yeah.
Then we got Wednesday, which is we're getting ready for the Friday free show again.
Then I don't know if you know this, Ray, but then it's Thursday, and then after Thursday, Ray, and I don't know if you know this, it's Friday. And if I can get you 2 clients, I can get you 4 clients. If I can get you 4 clients, I can get you 8 clients. If I can get you 8, 16, 32. You know the drill.
It is rocketing by. Time is rocketing
Ladies
by.
and gentlemen, from the Kramer Law Firm, onefirmforlife.com or onebird4life.shop, you know him as Friendly Ray Trindley's on via Skype. What's up, man?
How you guys doing?
Good. So, Ray, how was your Memorial Day weekend?
I started off real chill and mellow in anticipation for hurricane season. I was climbing up my palm trees, which I realized I think I grew about 2 or 3 feet from last year. And so I was trimming those up and getting those handled so that way if there's any storms, I didn't have stuff blowing all around my yard. And then we went for a quiet walk with the kids where we proceeded to catch frogs and tadpoles. And then I finished my Memorial Day weekend off with, are you guys familiar with what the Murph Challenges?
Yeah, I did the Murph Challenge this morning. Very easy. Only took me 5 hours.
Hold on. I did
At
the
least
Murph
you
Challenge
finished
once.
it.
No, there's no way.
My lips are stunk.
Do you know what the Murph? The Murph Challenge is, I believe. Now, Ray, you'll correct me, but my guess is it is like a physical fitness challenge that you do on Memorial Day to commemorate those that served, and it's real strenuous.
Yeah. So did you guys see the movie Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg?
Yes, I did.
Seen it. I have the entire dialogue tattooed on my back. That's how much of a patriot I am.
I watched it when my son Tommy was first born.
Oh yeah, and you cried. That's right.
I didn't cry. I looked at the wall.
Yeah, you did cry. He cried. That's right. That's right. I forgot about this. Friendly Ray.
I didn't cry.
Tom watched this when his son got born, and he cried. He bawled, and he's like, "I'm no patriot. I'm an American coward.
No,
I'm a communist coward."
I just at the end they showed like
I'm a Bernie Sanders socialist POS.
The real people and their families and they like their kids they left, and I was like, I've got to look at the wall. And then I was my son was asleep in a little, what's that half moon thing?
Boppy.
Yeah. The
Boppy pillow. Yeah.
So
you got to hold on to those because let's just say after the kid outgrows it, Daddy can use it to prop up that sloppy boppy.
Oh my God!
Bang! Daniel's back, baby. Sloppy boppy.
Well, it's great because the Boppy pillow covers are also, I think, water resistant.
Oh, yeah.
It makes cleanup real easy.
Yeah, if you're wiping off some of that, if you're trickling some Trinley batter down on it. You know what? I apologize. That was too far.
Too far.
Ray,
that's okay.
Let me ask you a parenting question. So, you're a real man, and you're a very
He's
smart.
climbing palm trees.
Yeah, what were you doing?
You don't want to know.
He was hiding in the shed.
He's hiding in the shed from his family.
So you are a white collar real man, which is, I feel like, becoming more of a rarity in this world.
Oh yeah.
So what? Okay, let me ask you this. We went for a walk around the neighborhood, and what I normally usually I'm on my one wheel, I'm pulling the kids in a wagon. We don't, we're hauling ass. We don't really stop. But this time, my Crystal didn't let me bring the one wheel. She's like, just walk with us. I'm like, fine. So I was walking.
I'm with you. It's not as much fun.
And then the boys were exploring, and then we came across a house in the neighborhood, and then the tree in the front yard.
That's where Mr. Cracky lives.
And the tree in the front yard, they have one of those tree faces. You've seen those before,
oh yeah.
It's like two eyeballs and a nose that you I guess hammer into your tree, and then it looks
help you remind yourself daily that you're dying. Right, a little bit of fun.
And so then when we got to there, we're like, oh, it's a magical tree, and they're like, what? And we're like, it has a face, and then so Tommy was fascinated by it. Max was
ain't no magical tree.
No, he was
some BS.
He was scared a little bit because
we're finding out Max is scared of a lot of things.
Yeah. He's
when
younger.
your dad terrifies you with a magical tree, that would terrify me too. That's stupid.
Here's the thing: Tommy wanted the magical tree to scoop him up because we were
like the giving tree and hug him.
we were telling Tommy it's a magical tree. Once it grows a mouth, it could talk, and then it could scoop you up with its branches
and tell you stories.
Fascinating to me the things that Tom lies to his kids about, and then goes into intricacies of war.
Hold on,
what the hell?
Hold on 1 second. Max is smart. Max is not scared. This is not a fear thing. This is Max is smart enough to understand that magical trees can go two ways. I've seen movies. Magical trees, like the giving tree in the book, can either scoop you up and give every ounce of their bark to make your life better, or they can scoop you up and put them in the tree mouth and crunch your bones up. Crunch your bones up and drink all your blood.
So Max was understandably and also
I'm with Max.
Logically scared of this because it's a giant oak tree that can scoop you up with your branches. Tommy was like, I want it to scoop me up and I want to live in the branches. Like he wants
to get taken away. He doesn't want to live with you anymore.
He wants to dance with the mosquitoes. He wants to live in the branches. I mean, he's just a fun boy.
One with nature.
So
he's a boy.
So then they, really, Crystal started this. I was going to say, like, it's just a face they bought at Walmart.
It's not even metal.
But Crystal's like, so I went along with it. Then they found a piece of bark that fell off the tree. And Tommy picked it up. He's like, I think this is from the magic tree.
Well, it's shaped like a hand. I saw it.
Yeah.
So, I saw this.
Oh, did Crystal post about it?
No. She showed me I saw the actual... thing.
So then we went home and planted it.
Ray, it's shaped like a little boy's hand. It's a little piece of bark shaped like a hand.
You stole the tree's hand?
Yeah. And then we planted it, and we're like, this will grow into a magic tree one day. Now, obviously, it won't because it's just a petrified piece of bark.
Right.
But when I went to Lowe's, I bought a little, annual flower, like a little weird-looking, it's red. It comes with a point.
Yeah.
And then I planted it in there, and then the next morning, Tommy went out to check, and then he saw it. He's like, whoa! It's growing something. And then he's like, I can't wait to see what it grows tomorrow. I'm like, God, I went to Lowe's again.
You've done it. It's up on a shelf all over again.
I know.
Yeah.
I've done magical tree on a shelf. Now I'm going to Lowe's every afternoon buying another flower to plant in this thing. So my son,
it's a stump and a
You
dump.
get like a bonsai tree or something that grows naturally very fast.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for the next. But anyway, so
you're bad at this. You're not even assuming the fact that Max is going to never go in the backyard again because you guys are growing a man-eating tree. So stupid. Yeah, you're so stupid.
Oh, one night Max did say, I want to sleep in your room. The magical tree is going to grow. And
no, he didn't.
Oh, yeah. Knock the windows out.
Yeah. I know. I'm
with Max.
I'm making.
No, I'm with Max. I'm going to stomp that tree out. There's just no need for it. It's stupid.
So he's terrified now. And he looked at the window.
You know what it is?
It's
the watermelon video that he saw. He's equating it.
Well, we also told him there's a magical tree growing outside of his house that eventually.
Don't be afraid of the watermelon cartoon you saw, but there are magical trees.
Yeah.
How does that make sense, guys?
Anyway,
that's a lawsuit right there.
Do you ever mess with your kids and tell them funny things that seem relatively innocent but really have a dirty connotation? Like, Max, tell all your friends you got wood. And then that way they go around.
I like your style, Chudley.
Not really telling Max to go with old Daniel's dad's jokes when it gets to school.
Now, and then, ladies and gentlemen of the court, I would like to, of the jury rather, I would like for you guys to vote. What's better, magical tree or I got a boner?
I said got wood.
Every dad and little boy is going to vote wood all day long over stupid magical tree.
The next thing he'd be drawing the Big Johnson cartoon giant surfboard.
The whole chat room was like, Ray's one of us. That's why we love him. Yeah.
So my question was, Ray, I know it was a long, convoluted question, but do you tell your kids the straight facts all the time and never go supernatural, or do you go supernatural just to keep the magic and them believing?
You got to keep Christ in Christmas is what I heard.
Because every time I go supernatural, it backfires because then Max is
you go too far.
No. It's very simple. The reason supernatural backfires on you is because it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
But I kind of want them. I don't want them to at the age of 5 to believe in nothing magical. It's just all right, now it's over. Now it's pure logic.
You being a 5-year-old that just no magic. There's nothing there. It's just all reality.
I tended to lean towards that, I think, when I was a kid. I got very little
memory. Were you
a
serious kid?
Ray,
were you a serious kid or a funny kid?
So I actually went through an interesting transition, probably the opposite of what I think most people. I know what that means. I was a super serious kid. When I was when I would say elementary, middle school, I was all about my future, right? In my mind, I was going to do the Forrest Gump thing, where I was going to be just an idiot going through life, but at the end of it, live a beautiful life.
Yes, you can.
But I was super serious. Everything had to have a plan. Everything had to have some purpose to it. And then high school, I discovered beer and girls, and I went the other direction with it and got real stupid real fast.
Yeah. So let's just say beer, girls, and wood.
Yeah. You went a little Kavanaugh here.
Yeah. I like beer. Some of my best friends are beers. Some of my best friends drink beers.
Me and Sloppy and Little Ted. And,
me and Little Ted, Zero, X-Man.
Friday Bill. Whatever.
No,
Oh, they're like me. You should be at a higher standard.
One ball bearing.
Yeah. I don't look at
For me with the kids, it's hard though because I you try not to live vicariously through your kids, but at the same time you want them to be well adjusted. And so, my wife and I go through this all the time. Conceptually, the idea of me explaining to my kids about what happens when I go hunting and I bring back a deer and helping them understand, what taking an animal's life means. And then obviously the balance of saying, oh, well, that animal is just asleep as it's getting chewed apart by a lion on TV.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard balance.
Heavy sleeper.
Tell me, Ray, it seems like if you just tell your kids, because the things, when I tell them the truth and me and Crystal decide hey, we're going to tell them this.
No, they don't believe it.
No, well, they deal with it pretty...
kids are resilient, man.
They are fine.
You're underestimating your audience, right? Why? They tell us that in radio, or they did, back when that was our gig. Don't underestimate the intelligence of the people listening to you. I mean, they're smarter than you think.
We've been pretty rational when it comes to death, with Tommy and Max. When
the magical tree comes and takes you away into the sky,
and then he removes your face, and then that becomes the particles that go in other trees.
We kind of BS with the old heaven thing because it's easier to be and then trying for them to figure out your brain shutting off and then not existing anymore. That seems a little too heavy. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of adults can't even handle that.
I'm pretty glad Maisie's never asked that. I've never had to go into that. She doesn't care. It's basically your dad's dead. I don't care where he went. And I'm wow, you're cold, man. Ice. She is just ice.
But
she's never asked. Yeah. She's never asked what happens when the lights turn out. And I'm just glad because I don't want to open that door.
Yeah. But it seems like they can handle a lot more than we give them credit for. And when we go supernatural and we go fantasy or magic, it complicates things too much where then they have a problem with them because they try to, we taught them being rational and then we're also teaching them supernatural.
Yeah, you're confusing the hell out of them.
They're like, wait a minute.
You can't apply
Yeah. So maybe I should just stick with the rational, but then I'm
that's not fun.
But I'm taking away the fun because the magic tree and Tommy going out there and seeing this thing is that's still fun. I don't want to take it away from them until they get a little older, right?
I mean, you could double down on it and tell Max, pull him aside one night and be like, all right, we got to kill them magic tree.
Then you got a little adventure with Max.
Tommy's playing God over here. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's literally he's summoning the devil. Here's a pair of scissors. You have to go out and cut down Tommy's magic tree, and we won't say a word. And when Tommy says, "Who did this?" We'll lie and say another magic tree did it. Our rival
and then
magic
here's some gasoline, light it on fire, and now it's a burning bush.
There it goes.
They went to Christian school.
All right. Sorry, Ray. The tangent. What do we got today?
I was waiting for a legal question there, but there was none.
No.
Just trees today.
I generally make the assumption that I'm going to be doing very little legal speaking when I come onto the show, and it's mostly going to be about how terrible a parent I am.
No, you're the good one.
Yeah, you're fine, Ray.
We get all of our ideas from you.
So, any particular questions that you have today or matters that we should talk about?
No, there's just a couple things, and I like to keep up to date and always talk about things that are changing in the law, and there's a couple of things that are coming out, and with the whole COVID-19 pandemic thing, we're seeing a lot of interesting lawsuits that kind of that stretch between can employers get sued by employees for not creating a safe work environment?
Yeah.
And then as of last week, we're seeing a really interesting set of lawsuits, and I say interesting because I don't think a lot of contracts are designed to deal with a pandemic, but two,
right.
I think the courts are going to build in a lot of reasonability type language into some of these contracts to deal with some of these things, and so we've seen a string of lawsuits being filed against insurance companies. So what's happening is, and especially the restaurant industry, these restaurants are making claims under their insurance saying, hey, kind of the way a natural disaster would cause a physical damage to our business, this pandemic is also creating injuries to our business, and it's more than just an economic slowdown, which has really been the response from a lot of these insurance companies is, this is just a little bit of an economic slowdown. That's not normally covered under your policy. And so, the interesting stuff, and I say interesting, it's interesting to lawyers, but the interesting stuff that's going to come out of this is one, the way the courts are going to interpret the language of these contracts, but then two, the need for lawyers to intervene and input information about not just, your house burns down, but what also happens if, there's a global pandemic and you're not able to close on your contract because there's stay-at-home orders and there's a governmental entity saying you can't go out. And so
that seems like, Ray, and maybe you'll agree with this, but if there's a difference between like an economic slowdown and then the state in which you do business telling you have to shut down because of this pandemic. So then it's out of your hands. It's like, well, that constitutes, I could see a restaurant saying the natural disaster, just like as if there was a evacuation order from a hurricane, like
earthquake or anything else.
And again, and right now we're at the motion phase where, both parties are filing motions and trying to basically litigate on paper. We haven't had a court make a decision on this yet, but I've been making similar arguments in the courts recently because, so much of what the economic slowdown from this pandemic has been not because people are afraid and they're not going out, but it's been because of court orders. It's been because of, governors of states and mayors making announcements saying stay home. And there's these executive orders that are in play. And so, the analogy would be, if the government condemns your property and says you can't reside here, normally you're entitled to be compensated, and we call that a taking. And so what they're arguing is whether or not this economic loss is a true loss, and then obviously trying to then shift the blame. Well, who's responsible for this loss? And so, from the insurance company's standpoint, it's a virus, nobody's at fault, but from the insured standpoint, they're looking at this as it wasn't my fault. There's nothing I could have done if I could have had my employees come back. And so it's really a fascinating legal issue. And again, something that, I don't think really anybody, in our generation has ever really seen anything like this before. And it's not as though, we see a countrywide shutdown frequently enough to where, there's any case law or authority. But like I said, I think it's going to be really interesting on how the courts are going to interpret these contracts and read into them, whether or not this loss is something that should be covered.
It just seems like a gigantic mess. Like everybody obviously at first did what they had to do and is doing what they have to do. And then now, as we're seeing, like, with the time passing by, there's all these questions whether this politician had the right to do this, whether who's responsible for my business.
Normally when there's something new,
state, the government.
Well, normally when we deal, and I think you'll agree with this, Ray, normally when we deal with something new legally, I almost feel like it's a tiny thing. But in this instance, we have so many.
It's the entire world.
Yeah, it's the entire world at one time asking a million new legal questions that we really don't have anything even on the books to represent a lot of it.
It's so bizarre to me, and I'm not over the fact that everybody is dealing with the same thing. And I'm so used to living in Florida and then going through like this
hurricanes. That's us.
Yeah, this month of time where we're watching the news, watching the hurricane come, or seeing if it's
but nobody else can even relate to it.
Yeah, and then when it comes, either it hits us, and then there's a recovery, the cleanup, but we're kind of used to this cycle, and then to see.
Well, that's why it can be so traumatic for people that have never even been through anything even similar.
Yeah, I
think that's why we probably did a little better than most mentally. Maybe, I don't know.
And to see every single person dealing with the same thing is really bizarre to me. I'm just like, wow, everybody you can think of, every actor, everybody.
And it goes all the way up, right, Ray? Like it goes from like your most massive Supreme Court type of dealing to tiny little minuscule court, type deals.
Absolutely. And it's been trickling down from, at least from the Florida Supreme Court, because kind of what the federal government said was we're going to leave it up to the individual states to kind of deal with these things. So, it's been trickling down from the state Supreme Court down to the lower courts and how they were going to deal with these types of issues. But again, I want to circle back around that, conceptually, the idea is so amorphous, right? There's no real, parameters on what this really means. And if you were to say, kind of to the point of it's like a hurricane, right? In a hurricane, we kind of know, all right, you might not have power for, a few weeks or a month, but then things will get back to normal. And usually it's a small area, even though, I don't know as far as power outages, which storms were the worst, but I think back to the mid 2000s and some of those storms that kind of crisscrossed the state, those were the years where probably there was the most power outages, but we kind of knew they were hitting it by segments and eventually things would get back to normal. And that doesn't really exist here. And so, it will be interesting. I think, though, that at the end of the day, fortunately, I guess for me, lawyers are going to be needed throughout this process because of these legal intricacies. And, we're not just seeing it in insurance contracts. We're seeing it for alimony, too, right? People are saying, hey, I can't pay alimony. Is this something that, the court should consider as this pandemic? And then, the question becomes, well, hold on a second. Is a pandemic something that you can anticipate? And is it permanent, right?
Yeah.
And so these questions are going to continue to exist, and fortunately, the courts and lawyers are going to have to figure out these issues.
You nailed. With alimony, you nailed exactly my first thought. Like when I was talking to two people that were either being furloughed or they don't have any way of bringing in any income. That one of the first places I thought of was like child support. I'm like, man, I don't know. Because, I'm all for, you're on the hook for it. I get it. But when you're not able to work legally, when you have your area of your jurisdiction telling you, nah, man, there's no work here. You're not.
If you don't have any income coming in, I'm pretty sure you could suspend your child support for.
I would imagine they would have to, right?
Until it comes back. Well, you just couldn't pay it.
Yeah, so what we're telling people is even though the courts are administratively shut down to the extent that people can't just walk in and file, petitions and motions, to try to get them e-filed because, again, we're assuming that the courts are going to look at this as a reasonability type standard and say, well, you did everything you could to notify the court and to try to stop or suspend. And, the other thing that we've been telling people is communicate. It's a little bit different when you're dealing with alimony and child support as opposed to, these types of insurance contracts. But the idea being, you want to seem like the most reasonable person in the room, especially when you're dealing with some of these state courts. And so, the more that you're able to communicate and look like you're a reasonable person, the more likely it is that the outcome is going to be in your favor, especially, again, in family court. You're talking about equity and fairness and things like that. So, yeah. But anyway, that's going to be the big trend and things that we're looking at a lot of here in the near future.
Ray, do you think insurance companies are going to start to offer like a pandemic insurance to restaurants and let's say resorts or anywhere in the hospitality industry where they could get an insurance, and so if this ever happens again, that they are compensated throughout,
covered in some way?
I'm sure, right?
Yeah, so I think a big part of it is going to depend on how these cases start to interpret these contracts and whether or not they can consider this, kind of economic shutdown from the governor and do these executive orders as being an economic loss and something that would be covered. Because I think if that's the case, I think, though, you'll see the contracts and insurance companies, kind of like we do with hurricanes, the rates will start jumping up and going through the roof because they're going to be paying all these claims. Now, if the courts come down on the other side of it and say, this is not one of those covered losses and we're sorry, but it's not something, I think then you're 100% right. I think if the courts say that this is not covered loss, I think the insurance companies will take this as an opportunity and probably charge you a premium for some type of pandemic protection. And in that circumstance, then, you would be able to, be protected. And then, that kind of is, one hand washes the other type of circumstance because now you're getting paid more money to cover, these types of losses.
Right,
so,
yeah. Right. Man, it seems like they have the opportunity to really benefit if the courts say, hey, this is not covered through this and you have to get your own separate insurance. Oof. And if insurance companies start selling some sort of pandemic insurance, they're going to, because the likelihood of this happening again in the future is high over enough time. But I mean, it could be another 25 years before something like that.
Think about how, I mean, it's so scarring to have this happen once with zero preparation. I mean, just by human nature, you're going to want to opt in and never let it happen again, no matter what the chance is.
And the likelihood of all these countries getting together and probably stopping this from ever happening from the source, unless it got out of control fast, like, is going to be high. Like, they're going to be on the lookout
many factors
for any virus in the future to never get this far out. So, as an insurance company, I like the odds, because all insurance is gambling. I like the odds.
I know.
All it is they evaluate risk and whether something is going to happen.
A lot of balls drop, a lot of embarrassment.
And then they put a value to it, like, all right, we'll cover 50% of your losses, but now you got to pay us $500 a month insurance, restaurant or whatever, and then over a long enough time, you'll be, you'll get rich. Anyway, so got anything else, Ray?
The other thing I want to talk about quickly, it's been an interesting story that I've been following over the last 10 years. This guy, his name is Harry Franklin Phillips. And back in 1982, there was a murder, and Mr. Phillips was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death.
All right.
Okay? And so, it seems pretty open and shut, but, throughout the years, and there's been a couple of times where this has actually gone back to the Florida Supreme Court, specifically in reference to 2006, he raised an intellectual disability claim. So what we saw a United States Supreme Court case back in 2002, and in 2002, the United States Supreme Court kind of set up these different factors for the courts to consider in determining whether or not an intellectual disability would be a prohibition from being subjected to the death penalty, because they consider it cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah.
And so we saw the Florida Supreme Court look at this guy's case again back in 2006 and say, you know what, we're going to deny him a claim. And so really what the law was in Florida at the time was, if your IQ was 70 or lower, you had an intellectual disability. And then what happens is, with science, we realize there's a standard deviation. And so you could take the same test and fall within this plus or minus 5 points. And so we say, a hard and fast rule doesn't apply. So if you're within this standard deviation, then what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to supplement with additional information as to your disability.
Can you get us that test? I need that.
Sorry?
I need that test.
It was just an IQ test.
No, I need the one that
it's an IQ test.
I need the special needs test for Tom, because he's there.
Well, here's the problem with that, Ray. And if you tell someone on death row, like, "Hey, buddy, take this test," if you do really good, you're gonna kill
me.
You're
and
gonna
then
die.
Immediately, the person that's been perfect up to that point is like, "Me don't know how to wait." Come on, what are you doing over
like,
there?
Hey, the better you score, the more likely we'll gas you.
His tests, so he took 3 tests. His scores were 70, 74, and 75.
He got better every time. A little bit of studying.
I don't know if those were in order, but those are in numerical order from the lowest to the highest. So all 3 of his test scores fall within the standard deviation.
That's consistent, I think.
And so he was asking the court to take a look at this and see if maybe the court should relook at this death penalty sentence. And so, they looked at it and they said, okay, well, you've had this disability since you're, a minor, so 18 or younger. Your scores fall within the standard deviation of 5 points. But really what the court really held on to was, and he was trying to argue, just so you know, he was trying to argue that there was some type of racial reason for the way the law was built. This was prejudicial against him, and he was citing to lack of educational opportunities. But IQ is separate and apart from
right.
I would say, too smart of an argument. Die.
So what the court really wanted to do is, it really wanted to take a look at whether or not the way they were looking at not only his case but other cases in particular, whether or not it was being fairly administered. And so what the court kind of came back to say is, given the magnitude of this, we think that, the standard that they were using was okay. But what they came back to say, and it's interesting because you see, the trend from a liberal court to a more conservative court was, because the law allows them to bring in this extra evidence, that it's still not this bright line test that immediately locks off, the standard deviation. So let's say you had these 3 test scores within the standard deviation.
Sure.
And he didn't have the extra evidence, right? So what they were saying is you need to have extra evidence of your mental incapacity, and he didn't have it. Now, again, mind you, this case has been going on for 30 years.
My God.
And so, one of the concepts that we have in the court is this idea of a statute of limitations, and the reason for that is we don't want evidence to become stale. And so we kind of have exceptions for statute of limitations, and some of those apply to death penalty types cases because of the magnitude of, obviously, the punishment. And so basically what the court said was, well, you didn't present any evidence of these other mental incapacities, so therefore, even if you did fall within this exception, we still wouldn't be able to grant review. And then, the court in its dissent, which is, so you have the opinion, and then you kind of have these other opinions. It's a 4-1, and so the person who didn't agree with the other 4, he comes down and says, well, hold on. If you're a person with an intellectual disability, you may not have the same records and the same evidence of an intellectual disability as somebody who is maybe more together and has a higher IQ. And so, it's really interesting.
Well,
and again, it's a reversal of what the court said previously in 2006. And so, the dramatic legal effect to all this is that you have all these cases that keep going back and forth and getting ping-ponged, right? So you've got, and again, this guy was found guilty and sentenced to the death penalty in 1982. So for over 30 years, you have this case going on, and there's others like it. And every time one of these decisions comes out, you've got a whole swath of cases that have come back and say, well, hold on, maybe we want to argue this other point. And so, again, it's interesting. And then obviously from a political standpoint, that the trend on death penalty cases is going back and forth too. And so, it's interesting how the court's interpreting and what they listened to and what they relied on. But, again,
it's also interesting that this guy could be sentenced to death and then for 30 years just kind of ride it out in some sort of weird, horrible limbo.
38 years. Yeah. That's when the year I was born, 82.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? I mean,
also, the amount of time and resources I always see, with this this case and the amount of people looking and the amount of, different times they either appealed it or gone over. I was like, oh, my God, just let them rot in jail forever. That's just too much time.
Whatever.
Yeah. Don't kill them. Just let them then just be in jail
turn them into a magical tree. That's what I say.
I know that's not the way things work, and we need a system, but it's so much waste of time and money. My God,
it's all the waste and all the time. Well,
and then the point that they're making is this is obviously an evolution in science and in the law. And so the courts are cognizant of that. But, like you said, the amount of resources, the millions and millions of dollars that are dumped into these cases, and not to say that a person's life isn't worth millions of dollars, but, it's a lot of energy and emphasis. And then obviously, it trickles down to everybody else who has similar claims. And so, I'll keep you updated in the next 32 years. Maybe we'll have an answer.
I know. I know in a person's life you can't put a monetary amount to it, but
I think some people
if you did kill someone, then I put you less. So at
least one notch.
It's like whatever. Let's just go to jail forever.
Well, Ray, thanks as always for hanging with us, man, and letting us be the dumb highlight of your day.
Absolutely, and not dumb highlight. But, I'm always fascinated to hear another
Actually, that fits pretty well. As I was telling you, don't say that, I was like, that's pretty good. That's got a nice ring to it.
That accurately describes this interaction.
No, I like hearing other people's perspectives on parenting. I think that I learned something today. Maybe I'll try to be more fanciful with my kids.
Fanciful, I like that. Well, that's us, the fancy boys. Well, hey, tell everybody there we said, hey, go bully Steven a little bit for us. Yeah. And if anybody has a question, legal issue that they need some help with, onefirmforlife.com. You can get a hold of Friendly Ray Trindley, and hopefully he'll help you out.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys, and stay safe.
All right, man. You too. We'll see you soon. Stay safe out there.
Take care.
That's what Tom says. I forgot to continue to say that all the time. I want to start saying that to people. Hey, stay safe out there.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more Corporate Time.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
Samantha, our producer, is here, and we have a guest on the line.
Yeah.
And I know that you and I both have a very, very warm spot in our heart for real men that help other people and do good.
Yeah.
And we always like to talk to the quintessential, real guy who's out there doing the stuff that we hear about, but we've never done.
Yep. And also, we have a special place in our heart for THC.
Oh, yeah.
And
have some in my heart right now.
And we're partnered with True Leave, who's our medical marijuana dispensary partner. And because of True Leave, they have a director of veteran engagement.
That's smart.
That they told us,
so helpful.
And we're like, they told us a little bit about Steven, and we're like, we have to interview him on the air. And with us today is the director of veteran engagement from True Leave, Sergeant Stephen Hill. How you doing, Stephen?
Wow, what an incredible introduction. I feel I'm kind of up in the clouds right now. I appreciate that so much. And I mean that in both senses.
That's funny.
So, it's great to be here. I've been blessed. I can tell you a little bit about myself. 20-year military, Army. Started out as an infantryman, worked my way through the ranks, Sergeant First Class, went Special Forces. I was a Special Forces medical sergeant, stationed with 7th Special Forces Group. Got me a couple trips around the world. Been there, done that. My medical experience and my personal experiences in the military really, molded and created who I am. I'm grateful for it. I was blessed to fight alongside some of the best in the business, and I'm here now on 2 feet above ground. I take that as a blessing every day, and I use that to bless others, to help share how I have found peace and healing in my life through cannabis and other means, and also being able to reach out and continue to help the veteran community. That's really been empowering.
It seems like a lot of our, and this comes up, I think at all times, there isn't a time when we don't hear about lack of caring or, or checking on or lack of even systems in place to take care of, especially, physically and mentally, our veterans after maybe they do come back from, like you said, a couple of those trips around the world.
Yeah.
Because it's not like what you guys serving for the country, what you're doing out there is easy. And I think a lot of times those of us that don't do it don't really understand what some of the hardships that it can bring.
Oh, yeah, mentally, physically, everything. Stephen, first tell us, how'd you get involved with True Leave? When did you first discover the benefits of THC, cannabis products? How'd you get into it?
Okay, well, this will go back a little bit. My first exposure to cannabis was actually when I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. I was a mechanic for a place called the Jap Shop, and I had gone to a doctor's appointment and learned that I was a glaucoma suspect. And I didn't really know the importance of that and the significance of that. My boss kind of did, and he came back later that day and had some and said, "Stevie boy not going to go blind. Jeff got good ganji." Well, my brother was a police officer, and I was totally against drugs and was like, "Oh, I don't know." But he was a father figure to me, and I trusted his opinion. And well, if it's going to help with glaucoma, then it can't be that bad. So that was literally my first experience that time. I used it a few times before I joined the military when I was 18, but once I joined the military, that stopped. You couldn't use it anymore. And then, you come to find out that the systems that are in place right now are systems that have, not really been, I feel, vetted clearly in the dangers that are associated with the pharmaceutical, prescriptions that are being given out like candy. And, when you're in country and you're about to go do a mission and hit an objective that you've trained for 3 months, and one of your teammates injures himself right before going on that mission, you can't exactly find your second string, teammate that's been, training. You have to make him comfortable enough to get out there and accomplish that mission, because that's what it's all about. And, so when a guy, barrel-chested freedom fighter, hurts himself, we don't take the time to heal properly. We try to, all right, well, how can I continue at least get the job done? And it starts out with, one Percocet, one pill that, helps you cut the edge so you can accomplish the mission. Now you feel good, but you've injured yourself further. You need more pills. And that cycle starts to happen to where the balance gets thrown off, where you're not productive anymore because the amount of pills you have to take to get relief makes you where you're not inebriated, but impaired.
I mean, we've all had injuries. I mean, Tom knows. Tom, you had a shoulder injury, my knee. We all know what pain pills feel like, and there is an element where
it's awesome.
A split second, but in the long term, you end up getting foggy. You're tearing down your body. It's not good for you.
You get
addicted.
Yeah, physically, mentally addicted to them to the point where you have to take more and more, and then you eventually OD, and that's what happens to everybody. It's when people are on opiates for a long period of time, and we've seen the epidemic happen. Stephen, how have you seen it affect the military community? Because, we've all heard the stories about all the sports stars and the sports community, and then just regular people.
In our own families.
Louise. And the amount of doctors that are prescribing the opiates. I mean, they're working on it now, and it's, at least society is more educated towards.
And you have options like Stephen, being able to tell veterans about cannabis. Has it been an easy thing to do? And what type of, like Tom said, what type of addictions have you seen with maybe some of your brothers you fought alongside?
Oh, wow. Well, so I've personally been involved and I've been the individual giving, as a healthcare provider, that opiate or that first pill that started some of these guys.
Right, right.
And
I didn't think about that. You as a medical guy, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm following my training. I'm following what they teach us. Like, this is what they're teaching us to do. And then that ends up creating some of these issues. Now, I'd like to specify, too, it's not just opiates.
Right.
The psychological pharmaceutical meds that they're given for guys dealing with anxiety, PTSD, a lot of those other issues are so bad, and the side effects are so much worse. And then what they don't emphasize is, hey, check this out. We're going to give you this pill. You're going to be numb. You're pretty much not going to care about anything. You're not going to want to have, relations with your spouse anymore, and your really overall motivation is just going to plummet.
Right.
We're not those type of people. So when we all of a sudden realize that we're there in that position, we're taking these pills, lots of times guys try to cold turkey it, lock the door. I'm not taking any of these pills anymore. I'm going to, detox myself. And when you stop taking the psychological pharmaceutical meds, it causes chemical imbalances in your brain where you are not thinking clearly. And that's when a lot of guys are committing suicide.
Yeah.
They start second-guessing things they've done, experiences they've had. For me personally, so I retired in 2015. I tried to use the legal system and programs that they were implementing, and there are tons. There's group therapies, there's EMDR, there's so many different things that they're trying. The amount of support that we have for veterans now is a lot greater than in past, and this conflict is still going. It's the longest war campaign in American history. So it's going to continue to put out guys that are experiencing a lot of these service-related conditions. So when I retired and my life started settling down, I opened a nonprofit spinal cord injury rehabilitation center in Tampa, Florida called Stay in Step, and that was my outlet. That was where I was able to see, wow, I'm on 2 feet above ground. I'm grateful for that, because there are people who are, in wheelchairs and suffering from other mobility disabling injuries. And it was actually one of my clients was partnered with TrueLeave, and they were the ones that connected me at that time with TrueLeave. And that's when I realized, that's even a bigger mission for me, because the piece that I have found, the only thing I medicate with is cannabis and cholesterol meds. I can't do nothing about the cholesterol meds. That's genetic.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just a dice roll. Yeah, we all have some of those.
Exactly. So, but what really helped me was I was medicating when it wasn't, available in the forms that it's available now. So it was mainly whole flower, whole plant, and smoking is what I thought was the only way to do it. And I realized there are so many other ways. And because I've had access to those systems, I've completely changed how I medicate. I use an entourage of different products, so I can use a tincture in the morning in my coffee, maybe do a little whole plant to start the day, and then I could have, a vape pen or another tincture or some of the other products available to get me through the day, to make me the most productive, to feel the best, and to continue to impact the community.
Stephen, I want to ask you a question, because in the military, and me and Daniel were talking about it, there's a lot of real men mentality, and you're a real man. I've read some of the stories, and I want to talk to you about those of saving people's lives is incredible. But I can imagine in the military, there's a lot of old school mentality, a lot of tough real men that still look at like THC as dope, especially some of the old school guys.
Yeah.
And
just like I'm picturing your grandfather, my grandfather.
Papa fought in World War II.
Yeah.
He just always thought marijuana was dope, and really it's just the propaganda that he's been fed his entire life, and it's not his fault. He just didn't know any better, because that's all he's been told.
They probably didn't have as much research and as many products and as many success stories as they do now.
So do you find that initially for a lot of military guys there's maybe a pushback because
skepticism, maybe
because they look at THC like, oh, that's for stoner hippies that want to get high. Like, I'm going to take like these drugs that were prescribed to me by my doctor that maybe like you said, whether they're opiates or psychological medications that are way more harmful, more side effects.
It doesn't have the stigma.
Yep.
And not coming from just a plant.
Well, I can tell you this much right now. Having the background I have has definitely helped me. Special Forces medics, 18 Deltas, were looked at as, the epitome of excellence for tactical medicine. So that respect and knowledge across the board has, I think, opened some minds to listen to what I had to say. It's not like I'm, no offense to any support skill sets out there, but, I wasn't sitting in a fire base the entire deployment, and then I said, oh, yeah, I have PTSD or something like that. I've actually experienced firsthand some traumatizing things that can never be taken away.
Right.
And, I was a sniper. A lot of our missions had to use a Barrett 50 cal. So you can imagine what a Barrett does to a human being. And when you're there and you're in country and, you're in that kill or be killed mentality, when you take another life, you're high-fiving your buddy, making a mark on your buttstock, whatever your thing is, right? But when you come back, and this is what happened for me, is I came back and everything started settling down. I started, really analyzing, just life and who I was and what I've done. And I realized, regardless of the fact that the enemy is the enemy, they're human beings. Yeah. And lots of times they're fighting for their families and for what they believe in.
Sure.
And lots of times they're manipulated and they're fighting under wrong pretenses. So I started to have these manifested nightmares of my sniper missions where I have my Barrett 50 cal and my targets are popping up in my crosshairs and I'm pulling the trigger still. But the targets are no longer the enemy. The targets were my family and my friends.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out how to break out of that. I was terrified to go to sleep. This was before I was medicating with cannabis. I didn't want to experience that because it was with such vivid detail, and I didn't ask for it. Like, I didn't want that, just because of the change in mentality and how I've continued forward in my life is what kind of provoked that. Well, that's not something anybody asked for. Nobody tells you, hey, by the way, it's possible you're going to have the worst nightmares of your life where you wake up and feel that you've killed your entire family.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Nobody wants to have that, you know? So by being able to share these experiences with some of these veterans who, right now, I think it's even more important that we start targeting the active duty members to raise awareness when they're starting their transition process to go to wherever they're going to continue that next chapter of their life. They need to know, hey, these are the medicinal, here's the holistic therapeutic, things that are out there available that are different than the pill factory, than the pharmaceuticals that they're just trying to jam you with. And, oh, by the way, when you leave your family of brothers and sisters that you'd be willing to die for and go to wherever you're going, you're going to feel alone if you don't have some sort of networks and community that you've already established and reached out to. And that's another thing. People don't realize military service members have had purpose since they raised their hand. Their mission has been given to them from higher, so that has been their purpose, and our purpose has been to accomplish the mission. So when you retire or transition and get out, and that mission is no longer given to you, you lose your purpose. Right. And if you can't come up with your own mission and your own purpose, then you lose the will to live.
Stephen, what you're saying is pretty powerful, and I've often thought, I was like, with someone who's in wartime, and I've seen documentaries and things that's the only real information that I'm getting. Obviously I haven't been through it, so there's no really way for me to understand it. But to me, it seems like when you're over there, and you could tell me, and you're every day you could possibly die, and you're in that scenario, you get used to living like that, where that my life's at risk at every moment, and I could die at any moment.
Well, we're all kind of doing it now. You create your new normal, don't you?
Well, yeah, in that scenario, your human brain will adapt pretty quickly, but it seems to me that it'll adapt to that, and then you're like, okay, this is a rough way to live, but I've adapted to it. And then when you go back to life in the United States, where your life isn't at risk every second and your friends' lives aren't at risk every second, it's hard to get back to that way of living from such an extreme. Have you found that to be the case? It's hard to go back. You could adapt to the wartime faster than you can back to normal life where you're not in danger at all seconds.
So there's two things. So the military does a great job at desensitization. They do it from the very beginning by placing you in stressful scenarios and training, getting you used to that, crazy, this is the, potential outcome of an engagement like this, right? So you're constantly doing your battle drills and training, because when the time comes and you're actually in that moment, there's no thought. You're not thinking, you're reacting, and you're reacting on your training. And if you're trained right, then the outcome will be good. That's why you say train as you fight, fight as you train. Our training is extremely realistic. When we're doing live fires, we're doing everything else. The medical training we do, the breakthroughs they've had in human simulated patients and moulage and spurting out blood and letting guys see this stuff before they're seeing it for the first time in their life is what really helps them get through those scenarios. But like you said, it's a different mentality. You're operating on a different part of the nervous system, and you're hyper vigilant, hyper alert, and then you do make that transition when you come back. But when you look at guys that are going on, 10, 12, 15 combat rotations, it gets more and more difficult to make that change. And that's when guys are coming back and they're beaten because they see some of the the things that stress people, here, and it's of such little significance to the experiences and stresses that they had, that they become frustrated, irritated, you feel rage because you're like, wow, you're really yelling at that barista right now because you didn't get all the sugars in your coffee. You know what I mean? There's so many other things.
Preach it, brother. Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the things, for me, my service, I am so grateful every day that I get to wake up and just be here. And so I'm constantly looking, how can I help somebody else? We've gotten very selfish, very focused on our, smartphones. Our faces are buried, and we know what's happening on the other side of the world 30 seconds after it happens, but it could be happening next door, and people are oblivious to it.
Right. And so, what's funny is that, just so the listeners know, that even before our interview, the first thing Samantha said when she called you was wow, this guy sounds super happy, ready to take on the day. And I was like, that's all. But you can hear how genuine when you say what do you mean you're yelling at that guy? Because I've seen some things that you could never stomach, could never ever internalize, and I am so grateful to just be walking on my feet and being dude, I can completely hear it. It's accurate. It's real.
And it's definitely something that I think needs to be addressed. And cannabis, for me, if it's not for everybody, that's fine. But
sure,
everybody should at least be given the choice to see. And that's how I feel about veterans. Is we volunteered to place ourselves in harm's way so we could try to continue to fight for this nation and do what we do. And I feel guilty that I'm able to benefit from cannabis because I'm in Florida, but I got a veteran brother who's in, Montana or North Carolina, and, they're suffering, or they're trying to medicate with cannabis, by different means, illegally. Yeah, illegally. I don't even like saying it because I feel bad for them.
Right.
No, you're right. You're right. Especially veterans.
They have to break the law in order to find peace.
Yeah. What kind of, just to give
this
people...
This is absurd.
Yeah.
To take a plant instead of all these pharmaceutical chemicals that they're giving to you, they're like, these are harming me worse. Can I just have this plant extract? Nope, illegal. You will go to jail. Like, what?
Well, no,
this is absurd.
And they even make it they make it like...
You want alcohol?
They make it...
What alcohol do you want?
They make it...
Like, it is bad for me.
A top-tier scheduled drug.
Schedule 1, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Schedule 1, but you can go get booze all day long, and I guarantee you that ain't going to help.
Or pain pills that
will. And you know what? The military. So I didn't drink before. I think a lot of kids now, they drink younger than before. When I was younger, I didn't drink. Yeah. Probably because I smoked marijuana. But when I joined the military, my first duty assignment was Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. I got there. My roommate was a specialist machine gunner. He sat me down and said, drink, Cherry, and he made me drink a fifth of this stuff called Aftershock. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It was like a cinnamon liqueur that had these little sugar crystals in it. They had Avalanche and Aftershock, and they did fire and ice shots. This guy made me, on my very first night in Hawaii, drink almost a fifth of this. I mean, I was vomiting. I don't remember much else up until a certain point, but the sad thing was the next weekend came, and it was all over again. And the military had that, I don't know, drinking is very prevalent, They're looking for some way to escape some of the thoughts, some of the feelings, some of the things that they've experienced. It gets utilized when you're toasting for fallen comrades, it's something that's it's associated, and it's so much more detrimental and impairing, And I know, too, I think that if they would somehow figure out how to utilize cannabis, and I'm talking THC cannabis, in conjunction with your transitioning, like, hey, you just got done with some crazy mission, or you're coming home and you're spending time with your family, there's going to be those moments where you feel tension, you feel awkward, you don't know how to react, because every time the drawer closes in the kitchen for the silverware, you're freaking out and you feel your heart pounding and you're sweating and you're looking over. It's your son just got a spoon, and you need to be able to have something that helps you deal with that. And there no doubt in my mind from personal experience, cannabis is really the only choice. Yeah. It's the only choice. It would make such an impact. And for all of my brothers and sisters that are out there now and they're listening and they're unaware, do your due diligence and find out where it's legal and find out where you can get plugged in. Make sure, and if you don't have any experience with cannabis, get with somebody who does, because if you try to get into it inexperienced, you may have an experience that makes you feel like it's not the choice for you.
Yeah, and you can always check with the guys at True Leave. I mean, that's basically what I did with anxiety and back pain and everything else. You just ask them, and like stomach issues, like you could just ask them and they'll set you up.
Yeah,
tell you
100%.
what you need to do.
Stephen, I read a story that was just insanely impressive about something you did with while you were on a mission, and you saved someone's life, literally. Like, a lot of people talk about saving lives, and it may be like, oh, because of me this person lived, but like you saved this person's life who would have 100% died, and you gave him a tracheotomy.
Oh my God, really?
Like in a fight, in battle, like on the field. And I thought how insane that must be, and just like you said, to live through that, to see that, to experience that is crazy. And you're still friends with the person that you saved their life to this day. And unfortunately, because of his injuries, he's in a wheelchair, but he looks like, he's doing better than the doctors even thought he'd do. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
So, yeah, it was September 19th, I think, 2008. We were in Maidon Valley. We were in support of a company mission. We pushed in. We had a big bulldozer with us that we were using to create a road. We fought for 36 hours into this valley, getting to a position to support a company mission. And en route, our bulldozer was disabled to where we could no longer progress forward and had to go back through the gauntlet we fought through. So when we went back through that gauntlet, it was pretty intense. The History Channel did a show called The War Fighters, and if you Google on YouTube Green Beret 7115, the episode pulls up. They did an episode on this mission, and my teammate and our number 2, Romy Camargo, was shot in the neck. And the call came over the radio. I was in the turret of my vehicle. I was 11 Bravo before. I've been a combat arms guy, so they would always talk trash to me, saying, hey, the medic's not supposed to be in the turret. If you get hit, what happens? I'm like, well, then outshoot me at the range.
Yeah, exactly.
I never thought about it. With the guys on your team not want, like, they don't want you to get hurt because you're going to say, yeah. Never thought about
that. So with my team and with my background, I was an infantry guy. I've been to all the hula schools. I've been there, done that. So there wasn't anybody on the team really that was any more combat prepared than I was. So for me, I was like, my job is to eliminate the threat. If I eliminate the threat, then there won't be any casualties. Do you understand?
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
And then when I stream, you always cross-train, so I definitely want to make sure that my teammates knew how to do the same procedures just in case it was me laying on the ground. So for the treatment algorithm, it was self-aid, buddy aid, and then 18 Delta. So if I'm doing my job, that means it's beyond the ability levels of anybody else that's close to that casualty. So when my teammate, he got shot, the call came over the radio. We were fording through this river, and they had pushed to the far side to establish security. And I tell you, I remember as we started to approach their vehicle, the 50 cal on that gun truck was going off, so you could see the muzzle flashing, and there were rounds that were hitting in the dirt and gravel, and just stuff was flying everywhere. And we pulled up literally right next to it before the vehicle could stop. I'm jumping out of the turret of my vehicle into the back of their truck, where I see Romy laid out. Blood's everywhere. He's got no pulse. He wasn't breathing. This is where I say I reached out and I saw a soul leaving his body, and I jumped up and grabbed it by his foot, and I slammed it back down in his body and said, "Not on my watch." Romy likes it when I tell that, but I did what I was trained to do. My buddy was on the 50 cal, save him, Steve, and I knew I had to do an emergency crike, and I did what I was trained to do. Stabilized C-spine and got him where he needed to be. And unfortunately, the injury itself was just so great that it did leave him paralyzed. And, it was funny because the first couple years after that, seeing Romy and seeing that, he had to call somebody over to come scratch his nose if it itched. He could never do anything. He's basically a prisoner trapped in his own body.
Yeah.
I suffer with extreme survivor's guilt. I couldn't go, the teams started to think bad of me because every time they would do some sort of, hey, we're going to go see Romy thing, I would always come up with an excuse not to go because despite being there and smiling and happy, every time I left, I would be really messed up from it.
Yeah. God. So you felt guilty for saving his life because he was paralyzed, so you felt like maybe I condemned him.
I could not live like he lives. I could not live like he does. Every single day, he has a smile on his face, and he's grateful. Him and I have had peace now. It's been 13 years. So, actually, in 2015, when I retired, and we opened a spinal cord injury rehabilitation center in Tampa, it was with Romy. We did it for him. It was awesome. Him and his wife. And we did it to bring that type of therapy, that type of environment to the community in Tampa because there was nothing there. The closest was Orlando. So they were having to drive to Orlando to do the therapy. And so they're like, let's do it here. And we created it. We've raised over $10 million. They're still going strong. They offer assistance to veteran and civilian community, and it's really it was another just to be able to impact their lives and bring them, especially the veterans, because the veteran, they don't want to be felt sorry for.
Right.
So when they come in there in their wheelchair and stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's go. What you doing? Well, your legs broken? You know what I mean? I mess with them because that's what they want. That better be sweat coming down inside your face. We ain't got room for tears here.
I got you.
Because
well, you've been there. Exactly. Yeah, it's and that's another thing too is having somebody that's actually been there and been around that and knows the culture. For lack of a better term. Often when we try to solve a problem, we put somebody in there who maybe on paper looks super qualified, but they don't know the culture. They don't know. They don't know even the love language they're trying to tell to these guys.
They're not one of you. And that's different.
They're not in the club. It is different having somebody like you as like their lead, their ambassador. Their whatever you want to call it, their advocate is certainly. And then to tie it into medical marijuana and the fact that this can be so beneficial. The first time I went to True Leave, I just sat. It was like me and 4 veterans. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just hanging out with these old timers and they're getting their meds.
Who is it that is sitting here still in 2020 that would say publicly, I don't think veterans should have access to medical marijuana? Who is that?
I don't know. Show me who it is.
It's crazy.
Show me.
I don't think anybody thinks that.
I would think they'd be first on the list.
Of course.
Like Steven was saying, it's almost like as soon as, in 2015 when you retired, Steven, it's almost like the government should have come to you in some way and said, okay, now that you're out, it's proven time after time, you're going to have a tough time getting back into society, but this will be able to help you navigate things a little bit better.
That's one of the initiatives I'm trying to build right now through some of our partner organizations. One called Mission Zero. Their mission is to get the veteran suicide count from 22 to 0. And they are doing outreach. They have resources. They're connecting with veterans who have found themselves on the post-end transition now, and they're don't have jobs. the retirement that they're getting or the disability they're getting is maybe just enough to let them like survive, but they still don't have that connection with people and to really understand, what's there. And then, of course, the fact that, what if I'm a veteran and I medicate with this and this is what helps me, but, I've got this dream that I would like to take a trip and go visit all of the national parks in our country, because I'd like to see and appreciate what I've been fighting for and devoting my life to. But you're going to tell me that I can't take my RV and go and bring my medication with me? That doesn't seem right.
No, of course not.
So that's some of the things that need to be addressed. They need to figure out, hey, look, either reschedule it. Rescheduling it would solve all the problems, and I think it would probably be the easiest course of action.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the holdup is. I don't know why they're not doing it.
Normally the holdup's money.
Well, it's also that and legal issues, right? Because there's a lot of people that are locked up right now for a lot of years over marijuana.
Yeah, there's a lot of complications.
How are you going to retrofit that?
You get into privatized jail industry. You get into pharmaceutical industry and lobbyists. And the pharmaceutical industry, they make a lot of money selling all this medication
they
to
also
veterans.
Have a lot of influence, too.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of the pharmaceutical companies now are starting to invest in that cannabis stock in preparation for that transition because they know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. Once everybody feels comfortable. I'm surprised that one of the presidents, to be elected, hasn't mentioned it like, hey, vote for me, I'll legalize it. I mean, he or she would win. They would win.
I know.
I'm pretty sure.
I have this theory that Trump was going to do it just to get votes.
Never know.
It seems like, and you kind of are on the inside working with True Leave, and from what I've heard, it's just a matter of time before it happens. I just hopefully sooner than later, so people like yourselves can get or at least have access to this thing that could help them. It doesn't make any. There's no argument that makes any sense against that's against this. It doesn't.
I know.
It's absurd.
There's not. Yeah. The only thing I can think of is if you've seen that movie Pineapple Express, and in the very beginning they show a scene where they were attempting to utilize cannabis as a means of performance enhancing. So they had this, private smoking a doobie, and there's a general there, and the private smoking it, and the general's like, well, tell me, soldier, how do you feel? And he's there, and he's like, I feel kind of like a slice of butter melting over a giant stack of flapjacks. And then he goes on this thing, and then all of a sudden, all you see is this stamp on official paperwork that says denied, and it's cannabis. And so that's, I think, what's happened is just that those initial, unassisted exposures to those various attempts have caused that misunderstanding of there are more species of cannabis than there are species of dogs. I don't know if you realize there's over 36 or 37,000 strains of marijuana, and every single strain has a different terpene profile, has different cannabinoids, and has a different effect on each specific individual.
Yeah.
So the availability of medicinal relief, there's tons of possibilities out there, and it's just a matter of being able to continue. There's never been any research that's been supported, so it's hard to back a lot of that up.
Yeah, so you're 100% right, Stephen. And I always laugh when you talk to an older person who's like, I got high in the 80s, didn't like it. I'm like, what if? Well,
it's not about that.
You got high off of what? Some regs that you bought in the 80s?
Who knows what it was?
Yeah. Like there's
wasn't regulated.
Yeah,
it's like regs or crippy.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all,
Yeah.
That was what it was. And even then, you didn't know what you were getting.
Exactly.
Of course. Well, yeah, and then again, you also weren't trying to medicate something that was bothering you. You might have just been trying to get high, and that's fine. But there are people that really need this.
And the different products that work. Like True Leaf has a wide range of products.
I don't even know all the stuff that they got.
We'll end with this, Stephen, because I know we got to go and take a break. But any particular product you like from True Leaf that maybe I should try? I've tried a lot of them.
So I am very, very partial. Like I like the True Clears. They come in the syringe. There's a CO2 extract and the ethanol extract. And what's so great about it is the versatility. It's an activated product, so you can actually take it. You can do a little rice strip, line and put it on a piece of gum or a piece of taffy, fold it over, throw it in your mouth, and you'll get the medicinal benefits from it. You can take it and utilize it in one of the various types of medicinal accessories they have, like the Puffco Plus, or you can use the old school dab rig and use it in there. Or you can put it into a batch of brownies. Or you can take it, and it's all already ready to go, so there's not any additional things that you have to mess with.
Yeah.
And it also reduces the amount that you need to smoke. Like my dad died from lung cancer. There's never been any associated, cases of lung cancer and marijuana smoking, but still, I mean, smoke is smoke, and if I can reduce the amount of smoke that I'm putting in my lungs,
makes sense.
Through another means, then I'm going to try that, especially if I can still feel the way I need to feel. So I'm really excited too. We've got these True Tincture drops.
Yep.
And currently, it's in a eucalyptus mint flavor.
Yep, great.
So for me, it tastes like a cough drop, and I enjoy that. Just don't wear a mask and have it in your mouth because it blows that mint in your eyes, and it's like being gassed out. It's crazy.
All right. This is all good to know.
I just eat the rice grade. I don't have to put it on any candy.
Exactly. And that's it. The only reason I put on a candy or gum is some people don't like the stickiness that it gets all on their teeth and stuff. But if you put it in with gum, if you fold it over on a piece of gum and you chew that gum, the mastication and the saliva production, you don't even notice the stickiness. And, by the time that gum is like, okay, I'm ready to spit it out, you've already absorbed it all. So you don't even notice. It's really it's a good way to use it.
Well, Stephen, it was great talking to you, man.
Thanks for your time, man. We really do appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm always glad to try to share the word and help as I can and just, all glory to God, because that's why I'm here. I realize that, and now it's time for me to use that blessing to help others.
All right, sir. Awesome, Stephen. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, and we hope to talk to you again soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Please, you have my number.
All right, man.
Cool.
Take care. That is Scuba
nice guy.
Steve.
Yeah. No, we know a lot of Scuba Steves.
We do. That's our second one we've collected in the last week.
I forgot that. We'll have him back on. I'll talk to him about the scuba diving.
There's two.
This guy's a real man. He knows how to disarm bombs and stuff.
Yeah. We got to take a break. Yeah. We're way late, so we'll take a quick one, come back, and finish out more of Corporate Time with Tom and Dan.
Welcome back to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. You want to close out the show with some voicemail emails?
Yeah. And Norm asked when we're going to do the fish name bidding.
Oh, yeah. We have a fish cam now. We put it on during the breaks. If we're taping live, we let you guys watch your fish cam.
But so these actually are test fish that Top Shelf put in there because apparently the first batch of fish you put in a brand new tank, there could be some alkalinity issues or whatever, like the salt levels.
We want them to be healthy.
Yeah, so you got to let these fish see how they do in the next couple weeks, and if they all survive, then we can add some other permanent fish. Maybe some of these will be permanent. Maybe some of these will be taken out, but then we'll have an idea of like what will be our permanent fish, and then we'll do the name bidding and stuff. We'll add some shrimp in there, get Samantha starfish,
crab in there.
Yeah. So we'll do some other stuff, but right now it's still in the testing. This stuff is super complicated. So any small...
The fact that I walked in today and they were still alive, I was shocked.
Yeah. Well,
I was shocked. I don't trust you guys.
They're here.
We couldn't do it, but Sean from Top Shelf.
And Scuba Steve helping us out. Let's try this voicemail.
Yeah, I'll let you know. All right, so it's recording right now. and you just talk into it. And then press
Yo, Tom Van, what's up, brother? This is Jeff McPherson. I met you last weekend in your driveway. You were pressure washing. I'm friends with Brett and Laura across the street. Remember me, brother? I wanted to remind you to thank Daniel Dennis for both of you guys making me laugh for all those years. I'm in New Smyrna Beach. I moved out here right now. I'm working. My buddy, the guy I'm working with, he's a BDM. So I'm using his phone right now to say, hey. So you guys have a good day and keep us laughing, all right? Peace, brother. Bye.
I thought that was nice.
That guy's a good guy.
I like the assist. He's like, you just press this button and you talk in right here. And then Occasion Man jumped on the phone.
That I picked that one because I'm like, that is a goddamn good BDM. He's like, here, I'm going to show you how to use this app perfectly. Leave him a message. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. And you can always sign up at tomanddan.com. It certainly helps our company.
Very nice gentleman. I was outside pressure washing a plastic toy that had mildew all over it. That
I'm looking for a pressure washer. You got a line on some pressure washer?
I always do. What do you want?
His whole garage is like a
3,400 PSI
junkyard. It's all pressure washers everywhere.
I get you one from Matt Mormon, the old $8,500 one.
Oh, I can't afford that.
Whatever happened to Confetti Andy?
Who's that?
I'm sure he's still doing it.
We got to put him in our whack pack of our team.
Yeah,
Confetti Andy made custom confetti cannons and special effects for the theme parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we met a lot of interesting people when we worked for Orlando City, which, by the way, seems like it never happened. Right? It was a weird small. Well, we were like. I mean, not right-hand men with the president, but we were taking on.
We were basically
trips.
Going to Seattle and Portland. Going to all
they
these
were
places.
getting our input on building a stadium. Like we wrote a report.
I wrote.
This is absurd.
I wrote a detail. No, I took his notes.
We
wrote
like
Seattle, a 30-page report on what we wanted in a stadium. They flew us Seattle, Portland, Philadelphia.
We had your own section.
We named Kingston. We named
the mascot, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And,
that was our name.
And now I don't know if we ever really did work there.
We're like a race from
I
resistance.
don't even know if there's still a team in this town. I don't know.
Yeah, like everything changed, and then it is weird. It's like
we still have a team?
We were so ingrained into the team.
Oh, we were woven into the fabric.
Yeah.
We had scarves made.
We were on the website with emails. We were on the website with like email addresses as brand ambassadors.
Right.
Oh, my
fatter than ever. Oh, man, we were fat.
Man, I want to find that.
I came back from the Bahamas. I was all sunburned
and with a young Homer Simpson haircut,
and I was fatter than ever. They like, do you want to take your website? And I was like, oh God, I'm not. And
they gave you a jersey that was too tight.
Oh no!
And your buds were boom boom. They were paboning out.
Boom boom. I think we were the embarrassment. But you're right.
They brushed you guys under the rug.
Oh yeah,
it was like
the Brazilian influence. You got that Brazilian money buy it into the team. They're like, who are these? Who are these fat guys?
We were doing
fire them immediately.
So much, and not that it was good. I still love Orlando City.
I love them too. I just
and we're too busy.
You're right, though. It is funny. I look back at it. I'm like, what? Did that happen? Did I really do that?
Like it went from so much to nothing.
At one point, you and I introduced both Mayor Buddy Dyer and the governor of the state of Florida, Rick Scott, on the stage to usher in.
You guys had Soccer Cast. I forgot you even did Soccer Cast.
I forgot I even did Soccer Cast. I forgot we did all. We're hosting this thing at like Church Street.
We interviewed Kaka. Yeah. Like we were sitting in dinner or lunch with him.
He bought his lunch.
We're next to Kaka and his entourage, and we interviewed him. Like, bizarre. Like this guy is a soccer god.
Yeah, it's crazy. Very, very
and then
crazy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Race for resistance.
And then we had to call them. I called them. I was like, "Hey guys, are we
still working?"
And they're like, "No." They're
Who
like,
are you?
"No. We forgot to send an email telling you not to show up."
Well, everybody we work with doesn't work there anymore. So, and those are the people, Phil,
that was,
Teresa,
that was our whole connection there.
And we
even
still love Orlando City.
Alex Wolf isn't there anymore.
Yeah,
he went to work for FIFA. He's a bigwig.
Yeah,
he's killing it.
I still, love the team.
Me too.
But it's bizarre.
Sometimes I catch the jerseys because I go in my closet. I have like 65 pieces of officially licensed real Adidas, MLS, purple, or I have so much Orlando City stuff.
Oh, yeah, scarves.
Yeah,
and,
I got it all.
I mean, we would do merch item of the week.
And then they would just give it to us.
Yeah.
I've got the Manatee shirts, I got the socks, I got hats, I got a caca doll.
It was all nothing. Then I look back and I'm like, did I?
Was that real?
Yeah, was it real? Was it a dream? It was like a short, fast, a lot.
How long did you guys work for
God,
that?
I want to say...
Well, Daniel did a year, and then
Piggyback.
When I left, I was like, hey, make me a brand of it there. And I'll go, okay.
I think we did like 5 years.
No other team.
It was a while.
I think we did 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. It was a while.
But we did hit our peak when they were just like, they're like, well, we got you guys plane tickets to Seattle and a rent-a-car, and they're like in a hotel.
Right.
We're staying downtown Portland in the same hotel that they filmed Portlandia.
With the president, the CEO, the vice president of marketing,
director,
like the most important, the vice president of on-field operations, Alex Wolf, like and then us bozos. I was like, we had no business. We're drinking in the airport, and then no one else is drinking. We're like,
put those beers down, guys, and we're like, okay, and we pretend to pour them out. We just put them in our pockets.
We thought it was a business trip. We were like, we're ordering beers for lunch at
some pizza thing, and then I look at the CFO, and I look at that guy, and I'm like, I don't get on a plane without being blitzed. I'm sorry, is the way I work.
Mm-hmm. I was like, this guy, he's gonna, he may
it's kind of like when you
never wake up.
Like, look, I give
you so many Xanny bars.
Every time I take 5 to 6 Xanny bars, there's a Heath Ledger roll of the dice here.
Oh, no.
Every single time. And I looked at him, I said, look, I don't get on a plane unless I'm blitzed. And they looked at me, and I was like, hey, this is like when you hire the rogue, off-the-cuff, unconventional bounty hunter. He's got his own style. If you want the full double D, you let me get on the plane drunk. If you don't, then you came to the wrong place.
They didn't need us for nothing. We offer nothing.
If you don't want me to use your money to fly around the world, that's fine.
They invited us. We were like, we should not be here. This is absurd.
Then they put us at a meeting in Philadelphia at the MLS. It's the MLS Super Draft, and they're like, "What do you think, brand ambassadors?" And we're like, "We agree."
we're at a huge table with every team in the MLS.
I'm sitting there with Don Garber.
Yeah. We're talking the head of security. What was that guy? He's like used to be an FBI agent.
But he looked like
he got to know us. He's like, hey, bozos.
He's like, hey, the bozos are here.
They knew we had no business.
Yeah. You guys drank on the plane, right? Yeah, I can see. You're blitz.
Yeah. Friends with the owner, huh? That's why you're here.
Yeah, the owner's sons are here.
No other team has any brand ambassadors, and Orlando City has 2. What?
And they're drunk.
Better times.
They made a good decision getting rid of me.
Of course they did.
After we went through and detailed everything we did, I figured out why we got fired.
But no one does anything.
No,
that's the thing.
That is the thing.
We did contribute to a lot. We did that mural, they just...
The murals are still up. I thought the city told us we have to take them down. You lied.
Yeah.
You lied.
We did a lot for that organization.
Yep.
But then nothing.
Could have worked from home.
I bet no one even knows we ever did, because everybody's gone. So they'll be like, who?
What mural project? What? They hosted what? No.
Now they got Sabrina to do all the announcements.
Oh,
they don't
she's
need
way
you
better.
guys.
She's way better.
Oh yeah. But we didn't like that.
Yeah, you hated that part.
That was too hot. She can have that.
We just did it because
they wanted us to do it.
And I don't say no.
And then we go at it, and they're like, "We need to pick a winner," and we go in the parking lot. I'm like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm just grilling hot dogs." Where'd you get them? Publix. Okay, great. You're the winner.
also, they're like, read the teleprompter. I was like, I can't read. Just tell me what you want me to say. I'm sweaty, sunburned. Remember that day I was sweating so bad?
You sweated under your boobs, and then Teresa made you change your shirt.
And then I was trying to grow my beard, so I looked like a homeless man.
Why did you do that?
It looked like the bearded lady forgot her bra.
Every week, I asked you to shave that thing.
I know. In retrospect, I look back and like, ooh.
You didn't grow it again because you're skinnier
We have
now.
stickers of you in the center of them with that beard. Those money stickers.
I know. Yeah.
One's on the mirror, and it's
oh my
terrible.
God, dude, that's a precursor to nautical bucks. We made nautical bucks before there were nautical bucks.
I know. For my gambling.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. TomandDan.com for all things Tom and Dan, and we will see you next week.